Yes.
Well, good morning. I'm Steve Thompson, and this is Christy Brown. Christy is our Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and welcome to you all. Thank you for braving the weather of the last few days. We lost a few people because they couldn't get their airline flights back in with the hurricane and all. But Christy has come up with a whole lot of new flavors for today. She's our chief ice cream mixologist, and we're going to do Italian ices, we're going to do hard ice cream, we're going to do dairy-free, we're going to do a boozy
Gelato.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of different stuff going on. What drives the whole class is questions. It's the funniest thing that happens in these classes. People will be silent and no questions. When we say, any questions? And there's nothing. And then we take a break or we break for lunch and everybody rushes up and asks questions because they think, well, my question's not, I don't want the rest of the audience to hear it. But everybody wants to hear your question. They're probably thinking the same thing.
Very true.
So it's real important that you ask questions. Tie-Dye Jeff is not here today. Unfortunately, he wanted to be. I came up with some excuses of why he's not here. He was skydiving and his chute opened late. He was windsurfing and he got blown into an oil tanker out in the Atlantic. That was unfortunate. He was rock climbing and his crampon slipped. And the most believable one was he was DWIIC, driving while ingesting ice cream, which is a big offense in Florida. So he says hi to all of you. He's sorry he won't be here. Those of you watching this on tape, he'll be YouTube rather. Tape's a little old, isn't it?
Yep. Find us on the World Wide Web, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you've got your cassette player and you're watching, you'll be able to see him in October. Good morning. Welcome.
How's it going?
We're just getting going. You're just in time. So, Christy, why don't you take over?
All right. Unfortunately, I'm not as comical as Jeff and Steve are. They're the perfect dynamic duo. So I'll try to.
He's always wrong.
That's very true. So
At least you're always right.
Yeah, Steve goes, at least you always agree with me. I said, okay, fair enough. Hi, welcome. Grab any seat you like. So we are going to start off with the dairy-free ice cream. How many of you had dairy-free before? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
A few.
Good. So this dairy-free looks just like a normal traditional bladder, like a normal dairy mix, which is a very rare thing to see. There's a company called Meadowvale. They had engineered this whole new style. Let me pass this out here. This is the formula, which has the contact info if you just want to pass it down. So they came up with a way to make a dairy-free in a bladder style. Traditional dairy-frees are like what Steve has. Go ahead, Steve, on that.
This is Mommy's Gelato, spelled MAMIS gelato.com. And this is a dairy-free. It comes in either oat or coconut. The coconut, of course, has an aftertaste, which I don't mind at all. And the oat has no taste whatsoever. So you just open this up, add water, and you're in business. So both ways are great.
So this one is very shelf stable. So if you're overseas or if you're in tropical islands, typically people would go with that method. If you only have a couple of flavors, just to make sure you keep everybody inclusive and you don't turn anybody away, those are shelf stable, I think, for like a year and a half. These can be frozen, but once you thaw them out, you have to use them within 4 days. This is a tapioca base, and the reason why is because it is tapioca base. It thickens up super quick, and it becomes like clumpy and whatever. Still tastes good, still workable. It's just going to go plop, plop, plop into your machine versus pouring into it because it starts to get a little thick. The downside of this is it doesn't sit on a shelf, it takes up freezer space, and it does have a coconut background to it. So no matter what flavor you make, it has to complement a coconut with it. Mommy's Gelato, they have actually a couple others. So they have almond ice, they have Froconut, they have Outrageous, they have 5. Matcha one, and then they just come out with a peanut butter base one. Their Outrageous has no background taste to it, so you can pair that with almost anything you want. The texture isn't as smooth when you work with a dairy-free bladder like this one. All right, so I feel like I should do Jeff's little shtick. He always starts off first. So when you go to grab a bladder, you want to choke it by the throat like this, and you want to pop the top off like so. They have baskets that you can use to help pour. I wouldn't recommend it. Just get yourself handy and learning to do this. And we're going to pour it right into the throat of the machine. All right, you ready?
Now the machine's already been sanitized, ready to go. Christy did a little bit of Sterashine, which is a approved sanitizer. Every health department approves it. Mix it with water, put it in there, it kills any bacteria, and then that's all you have to do. You don't have to sanitize again, you don't have to sterilize again unless you put your hands in the machine or you take a 2-hour lunch break. So we can go all straight through till lunchtime today and not have to re-sanitize. And even our lunch break's going to be so brief that we won't have to sanitize then.
And to be honest, this dairy-free... Oh, go ahead. Someone
Quick question.
Yeah.
This is coconut based?
It's a coconut base. So it has coconut, it has tapioca. Little
So if there was a nut allergy, that would happen.
Is coconut a nut allergy, though?
I don't think
so.
Is it? I've never heard of that. I don't think coconut's a nut allergy. Yeah. So I really prefer working with meadow veils. The texture is unbelievably smooth. It's super creamy. There's no grit taste to it. It's one of the best products out there.
Where are they?
Say that again?
Where are they located?
They're located in Illinois, but they have a bunch of distributors all over the U.S. So inside your packet, there is a dairy supplier list. So you would just need to find your state and then just call them up, call one of those dairies and ask if they have Meadowvale located. You can also go to their website and then look for a distributor that would be in your state, and you would need to ask for the dairy-free mix that they do have. And they freeze great. You just put them in the fridge, and it takes about 8 days for it to thaw out. Maybe not that long.
Maybe 3, 4?
No, longer than that. I would say probably about 5 to 6 days to thaw out completely in the fridge, and then from there you would need to use it at least within 4 days. Okay, so we are going to run this on a dairy-free, so we're going to hit Make Ice Cream, Dairy-Free, and Start. Now, I've never made this flavor before, so we're going to have to do some tasting and whatnot. Normally, I do like trial and error at home because I have the little guide down there in my kitchen that I do a lot of R&D for the company on. So, we're going to give it a taste. So I put 33 ounces, but we'll see.
And that's what?
This is a key lime pie syrup. I think I'm going to do half and then give it a taste and see what it says. I mean, see what it tastes like. What do you think? No? Yes?
Now, we always contend that no matter what flavor you want to do that's brand new, you don't have to spend weeks testing it. You ought to be able to do it in 3 batches.
Go behind you.
You ought to be able to do it in 3 batches because it's mathematical. You know you're going to put in a certain amount of strawberries, a certain amount of blueberries, a certain amount of liquid like that based on our formulas. We have over 640 videos for you to look at. So if you can make strawberry ice cream, you can make blueberry. If you can make blueberry, you can make red raspberry. They're not going to change. But when you are doing something like this, have a 3x5 file card and write down what you're doing, so that when you do taste 2 or 3 different ones, you go, that's it, that's the right one. And you go, oh my God, what did I do? You know, you forgot. So put it down on a file card and mark them, mark the containers and mark the file card.
So I tasted it, tasted good to me. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the refrigeration so it can start to freeze. I'm going to go ahead and dump in my coconut. So I decided to do coconut key lime pie because, one, the dairy-free mix tastes like a coconut, so naturally we're going to call it a coconut. And then the key lime pie, because I think it just tastes good. So we're going to find that out. Once you taste this, you're going to be pretty shocked that it is a dairy-free, and you can offer it to almost anybody as a normal ice cream, and they wouldn't be able to tell you the difference.
Now, watching Christy make this, as opposed to watching Jeff, Jeff would still be at the point of, hi, my name is Jeff. He likes to go very slowly. Time is money is the old expression, and the more ice cream you can pump out in an hour, the more money you're going to make, and the less labor your cost will be. So Christy put the liquid in, she put in her first ingredient, second ingredient, and then started the refrigeration right away. Got the whole thing going, because for the first 5 or 8 minutes, nothing's happening in there. It's actually blending very nicely, so you don't have to pre-blend like Jeff does. This is make fun of Jeff Day. The machine's doing it while it's freezing. It's bringing the temperature down from about 35 degrees down to freezing temperature, and the first part of that's going to take 5 or 6 minutes before it starts to harden up. So don't waste time, put your ingredients in, get going, and while that's running, you set a kitchen timer that says, okay, this is going to be ready in about 14 minutes. You set the timer for maybe 10 or 11, and then you start preparing your next flavor. You say, okay, what am I making next? Sweet tea. Well, let's get the sweet tea measured out. Let's get the sugar measured. We're not going to do that today because we want to talk to you, but you can get a lot of product done in an hour by just planning your day and getting it going.
Absolutely. So we're gonna we flavored this with a Monin syrup. So there's 2 different types of syrups that I really recommend, and that's a Tyrannies, which I'll pass around later, and then there's Monin. They are very well known in the industry for flavorings for coffees, some other things like baristas, lattes, things like that. Almost every flavor that you can imagine they have, and predominantly a good chunk of them are always on Amazon. You can even find them at like Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, places like that. There's a website, if you want to write this down, it's called SeriousSips.com. They have a syrup section of almost anything Tyrannies. They have a couple Monins, I believe. They're both the same thing, both just as equal. I don't really prefer one over the other. You can actually buy it in different bulk flavors, and they're around $6 to $7 a bottle, which is very, very, very cost effective. So I'll pass this around so you guys can look at it, give it a sniff. There's some times where you need help with flavors. An example, key lime pie or a toasted marshmallow. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but I'm not going to be toasting marshmallows over a flame just to make ice cream. That's not how it's going to work. Most of the time you want to stick with all natural and as fresh as you can. If I'm working with strawberries, I want to go with frozen, let them thaw, and then they have this beautiful juice that they create themselves when they do thaw. Blueberries, they're very blah and bland, so that's when you want to use a syrup, a flavoring, or an extract. Very strong fruits like a papaya, which I feel like I'm eating perfume when I eat that. Those really don't need help at all. Any other questions on that before I go to the next topic?
How did you spell that website?
Serious Sips.
SeriousSips.com.
SeriousSips.com.
Okay, before you move on, just real quick, why do you want to sell dairy-free? I've been doing this now, this particular facet of frozen desserts for about 4.5, 5 years. And when I first heard about it and started doing it, it was a very, very tiny market. And I thought, why do we need this? And then I saw the progression of it. Right now, it's about 30% of all sales are dairy-free. They expect it to go to 49% of all sales of frozen desserts. Up to 49% will be dairy-free by the end of this decade. And that's not that far away. 2025 is just around the corner. I used to call up some of my longtime customers, say in New York, on Long Island, New England, Boston area, up to Maine. And I know I'm talking with an older adult who's been in business, and I would tell them about this, and they would say, Steve, why do I need this? I've got this huge audience of people who come in. Every day they're coming in, we sell out of everything, we make a lot of money, and I don't see why I need to add this product. I said, well, do me a favor, look at your audience. How many of them are under 50? And he goes, maybe 1 or 2. I said, okay, that's why you need this product. You're catering to us baby boomers. We grew up on Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry, 2 companies I put into business when I was 22 and 24. So your problem is the baby boomers are getting older, they're aging out, they're going to be showing up less and less, it's a fact of life. And what's coming in, millennials, Gen Z, Gen X. And they are not 100%, not even 50% in love with Haagen-Dazs ice cream. They want something that is, first off, all natural, doesn't have to be organic, that was a bust, but all natural whenever you can do it, and that's what we do, but also dairy-free. So these existing stores aren't catering to that market, and that's why he's got 90% of his audience, 95% of his audience is baby boomers, and he doesn't have any of the younger people. You need to hit both markets. The Gen Z, Gen X, and Millennial are going to take over us baby boomers, and so you better be ready for it. So you could start your store. We're doing much smaller stores now because of rent. I'm doing instead of 1,700 to 2,200 square foot stores, I'm doing 750 square feet, 900 square feet, because the rents are so high. So I'm going to have a small dipping cabinet. I like the ones that aren't glass. And if it holds 12 flavors, I'm going to do 10 of American ice cream and 2 of dairy-free, and a separate cabinet for fresh fruit sorbets. And that's it. Very limited menu, not the 30 or 40 flavors that we always used to do. And on the dairy-free, I'm going to do a flavor of the week. I'm going to take one of them out and substitute in a flavor of the week. Same thing with the ice cream, same thing with the fresh fruit sorbets. I'm a salesman. I own the company, but I'm a salesman. Every salesman likes a reason to come back and see you. Hey, I've got something new to sell you. You need to entice these people to come back into your store. And the way you do that is with the flavor of the week. You hire someone younger than me to do your social media, like Christy, and let them advertise the flavor of the week, and it's going to be a tremendous success. And people are going to be very excited to see what you have. So the dairy-free is important and getting more so every single day.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. So talking about dairy-free has no fat. No fat means no expansion. So when you run anything that's non-dairy, whether it's a water-based product, this product, Mommy's Gelato's product, it's not going to double your product when it gets finished and runs in the machine because there's no fat to expand. An example, you take sugar and water, put it in a bowl, or you put coconut milk in a bowl with a whisk, you whisk it really fast, it's not gonna do nothing. It's just gonna sit there and be the same thing it was when you started. You put heavy cream in the bowl with a whisk, you're gonna wind up with whipping cream if you whip it fast enough and long enough. That's because it has fat. That's just the reaction and science behind all that, which that's not my area or my field. So when you work with this dairy, pretty much what you put in is what you're gonna get right back out, unless you're adding inclusions like nuts or candies, brownies or whatever, apple pies, because that's adding more volume, so you're gonna get more volume out. So if I'm putting in 10 quarts, I'm probably gonna only get out maybe like 12, 13, 14 quarts if I'm lucky, but that's just because it's expanding to freeze the product itself, but it's not expanding because it has any fat content. Another thing too is when you do run your very first batch of the day, an example this one, it's going to take a little bit longer to freeze than any of your other batches after this. So if I'm making 6 batches of this same flavor back to back to back to back, my first flavor or my first batch is going to take longer because my machine is warm. It just started up for the day. So it's naturally going to take a couple minutes longer. So if you're writing down your freeze times, do it from your second batch on, because the next time I go to pour in my next bladder and go right behind it, it's going to shave a couple minutes off your freeze times. So just make sure you remember that, so you're not writing down 16-minute freeze times and now your ice cream maker's walking around doing whatever and expecting 16 minutes and now, because 3 minutes makes a big difference when it's ready to extract. And now they've frozen up the product and it's a little thick to come out. So what we do here to see if a product is ready is what we call the cutoff check. It's where we open and close it and then see how it cuts off. You see how it's kind of still soupy and then it's running down, whoops, and it's kind of running down the chute. We don't want it like that. We want it to open, close, and then cut it off and make a clean cut. We don't want it to be super thick. The thicker the product is, the more chance you have it sticking on the blades and the cylinder and stuff like that. So pulling it a little bit sooner. Don't want it firm to where you're sitting there and able to scoop it and serve to people like we are, because you want to have not so much airspace in your container. So the thinner you pull it to, you're not sitting there doing this. If it's got lots of really thick ice cream, trying to get all those air pockets out. So it fills it up a lot more evenly too. But we want to serve you guys, so we want it to be a little bit more firmer. And I'm just going to take a bite of this.
It's not a soft ice cream machine. We are not pulling one cone at a time. They have a cylinder that's about this wide around, and so they're able to produce a product that's ready to pull out of the machine and serve to you on a cone. Our cylinders are like this. This is the old-fashioned. This is what my grandfather, Emery Thompson, was working with in 1902. Was a rock, salt, and ice machine turning a crank. This is a modern day version of that, a very big cylinder. So when it comes out of here, it is not ready to go onto a cone. It's going to go through another phase of freezing it down rock solid, which is going to help enhance the flavor. One quick trick about the making the dairy free. We have well over 600 recipes at emerythompson.com. They're all in video form, and we actually go through the steps and show you how to make something. If you're making dairy free with coconut, coconut has a distinct taste. You drink coconut and you can taste coconut. You drink a glass of milk, milk tastes like milk. Water has no taste. So when I'm using the mommy's oat-based, it has no taste. So my little trick is, if you are making dairy free with the coconut, just use my ice cream formulas. Use Christie's ice cream formulas. If you're making it with oat, which has no taste, pretend you're making an Italian ice. Italian ice is sugar, water, and flavor.
Squeeze behind you.
So since the water or the coconut or the oat has no taste whatsoever, by using the Italian ice formula for, say, raspberry sorbet, you can make raspberry dairy-free ice cream, just double the flavor. The Italian ice formulas will call for 2 bags of Oreo cookies, when the coconut will call for only 1 bag. So that's just a little thing to remember. If you're using oat, you got to double the amount of flavor. And that's what people eat. When we make vanilla ice cream, we use a great vanilla. We want that ice cream to say, wow, that's a terrific vanilla. I buy Breyers or Seal Test or some of these others, and you taste it, and the only way you know it's vanilla is because it says vanilla on the package. And I always tell people, if I hand you a ice cream or a sorbet or a dairy-free, and it's bright red, and you taste it and you say, wow, that's delicious, what is it? I just failed as a frozen dessert manufacturer, because you can't tell it's red raspberry instead of strawberry. You didn't put enough flavor in. Nobody eats air. Nobody walks out of the store and says, that was the best Butterfat content I ever had, or I can't wait till come back till tomorrow because the air content is just wonderful.
We're ready.
They eat flavor.
Okay, so we're going to do that cutoff check, and I know we're ready. So you see how it just kind of plopped down and it peaked in the container a little bit there? So now we're ready. So we're just going to go ahead and turn off the refrigeration. Jeff always says, wait for the compressor to kick off, which I don't ever do that because that's just bogus. But
There it
anyways.
is. You can hear the sound difference. If you leave it on, it's going to continue to freeze, and it'll turn into a solid block. Yes? I don't know the answer to that, because the oat came first and it's been out there longer, but I really prefer the oat because it's like an empty pallet. You can do anything with it. But from the dairy that we're buying it from, they only do the coconut. I'd put both in and see what the customers prefer. And then you'll know, because I think it might end up being different for every store. They're both going to be great, but I find more versatility with the oat. What I don't use is some of these other ones. I think Breyers was testing cashew or almonds, and for a product out in California, of course. And it tasted like Death Valley. You know, every bite that you took made you more thirsty. So it's really come down to oat and coconut as far as I'm concerned. But you'll have to experiment, yes.
So if you leave it going too long and it does freeze, how do you fix it?
You turn it all off, you open the door, and you have to take it out by hand, the ice cream. And then admonish yourself for saying, don't do that again. You know, what happens is we turn it on, we set a timer, a timer's a great idea, and then we get talking on the phone and we don't even hear the bell. I set up Universal Studios back in the 90s, and they had what was called a klaxon. If you've ever watched a World War II movie with the submarine and the bell goes off and the guy's yelling, dive, dive! That's what they had in their ice cream room to make frozen lemonade. And that thing got your attention. But something to keep you in mind, don't freeze it up, but you're not going to hurt the machine.
I prefer a little bit more of a key lime taste to it. You probably can't see it, but there's a little box of key lime cake filling right there. Probably would have added that to it if it was me, to add more key lime flavor to it. Uh-oh.
That's what it looks like.
Maybe a splash of lime. If you're adding any fresh citrus like lime juice or lemon juice to your dairy mix, word of advice is get your dasher, turn it on, make sure your machine is spinning, then add your juices, because you don't want your milk to congeal in there and kind of wind up a little wonky. You guys are going to be pretty impressed with this dairy-free. And because we named it a coconut key lime pie, you wouldn't know that it is a dairy-free because of the coconut. Another thing that's actually amazing with this mix is Oreos. Oreos and this coconut make it taste like this amazing like almond joy or a Mounds candy. It's great flavor.
Now, I invented the infinite overrun control back in 2008. That's quite a while ago, and it changed the whole industry, because with one machine you could do every product in the world just by being able to adjust the speed. It's not as simple as it sounds. If you have a light dimmer, I won't go over there, she can't see me. If you have a light dimmer in your dining room and you dim down the lights to a romantic 40 watts for dinner instead of 100, you're literally taking the power away from the light bulb. It's no longer 100 watts, it's only 40. If you just put a light dimmer on a machine and you've got a 1 horsepower motor in this, 3 horsepower here, you're dimming it down to about 1/8 of a horsepower, it's not going to be strong enough. With my control, it remains the full power no matter what we call in cars the torque. So it's been around since 2008, and one day Christy comes in and she sees me struggling trying to fill pints at the machine, and because it's coming out so fast. And I'm going like this trying to do the pints, and she looks at me like I've got 3 eyes and says, "Why don't you just slow it down? Just turn it down from our major speed." I don't mind telling you the speed because it doesn't apply to anything else. 234 RPMs, now I'm down at 119 RPMs. Now it's going to come out slower, so with this model I can stand here, it's not pushing out as fast, and I can fill a pint, put it up here, fill a pint, put it up here. Makes it really easy to sell pints, which is something we'll get into today. It's a very big part of the business. But you can move that, as long as you keep it spinning, you can move that speed up and down to anything you want. We have presets in it, about 12 of them that are all different products. So that you just push the button and it goes to the preset that I want you to run the speed on. But if you're an executive chef, any executive chefs in the audience? Good, because I get in trouble. Executive chefs feel that they know more than God. So if they want to say, okay, you're running your super premium at 165 and I want 161, I don't argue with them. 165 and 161 RPM is not going to make any difference in the world, but if that's what the chef wants, he can adjust it up and down, she can adjust it up and down by the buttons. So you can use the presets or you can pick your own speed.
Here you go.
Ooh, thank you. Oh, that is great. What do you all think? Good?
Amazing.
That is good. Now, with regular dairy ice cream, Jeff and I fight about this all the time, so I'll bring it up because he can't defend himself. Dairy ice cream, the flavor is enhanced after you take it out of here and put it in the hardening cabinet overnight and then pull it out to serve it. So if you think you didn't use enough vanilla, it will be fine by the time it gets to the customer. But the dairy-free and the Italian ice, they don't change. What you taste is what you get. So what you've got right here is what the customer is going to get. So it's a perfect formula.
What do you guys think of the dairy-free?
It's good.
Can't tell that it's a dairy-free, can you? That's the beauty about Meadowvale and their mixes, especially for the dairy-free. If this was to be with the Mommy's product, you would feel that kind of a grit taste with it. It's better on the palate than it is, most other dairy-frees, but Meadowvale hands down makes the best. On that formula, there's Eddie's contact that you can reach out to him, and he can help you find somebody in your area.
This is really a great, great product coming out of their company. Really super.
Here you go.
Thanks.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm going to take this to Paula. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, how much did it cost to produce it?
So it really depends on your area and how much your mix is. It can cost you anywhere from 8 cents a scoop up to $2 a scoop. I mean, it depends on how much you pay for your mix, what kind of quality ingredients you're adding into it.
What you just made, maybe? Roughly, you know.
I think, I don't like to say prices on camera because then they come back to me 10 years later and they, yeah, and then they like, oh, well, you said, okay, that was 10 years ago. So going around probably what we spent here to make that. Coconut flakes are like $2, so I'd spent like $4 there. The Monin syrup I think was like $15, but that's because I had it prime and I got 1 bottle. If I was to buy in bulk, which is what you guys would do, it'd be cut in half for that. So I probably spent 52 cents around that just to make that per scoop. And then you're going to sell that same scoop for $4.99, $3.99, depending on your location. The profits are really high. Now, when you get into the next flavor, or one of the flavors like butter pecan or the bourbon pecan, this is where the price goes and drives up because you're using alcohol. All right, so the next one we're going to do is sweet tea Italian ice. So there is a guy in here apparently. Is that you? Okay, so you've been hounding us for this sweet tea Italian ice, right? Okay, let me get another bite. Everybody sweet tea fans from the South? You say no?
I hate sweet tea, but
Oh,
I'm here for it.
that's against a Southern's religion. I went to Hawaii and I could not find sweet tea on that island at all, and I about died. First thing I did when I landed back here in the mainland, what they called it, is I went and found me a sweet tea and I chugged it. Chugged it.
Anybody here from the north? Yeah, the Southerners love their sweet tea. That's all they talk about.
Yeah, and I'm a sweet tea snob, just like you're a coffee snob.
I am indeed.
He is. Don't you dare give him Folgers. He'll.
No, this is death wish. If you're going to drink coffee, get real serious about it.
That's very true. So to come up with this formula, I did it 2 ways. I went and just bought the South's here favorite sweet tea, which is predominantly Publix's unsweet tea is actually what I did because I'm using sugar. We can't just dump sweet tea into the machine and expect it to freeze because the machine needs something to be able to freeze the product. So we need to add sugar. So that would have been diabetes in a cup if I would have put in sweet tea in there and then add 2 more pounds of sugar. So,
Sweet tea is, right?
yes. Yeah, well, this would have been extra diabetes in a cup.
And I've got the pumpkin.
So when I did it that way, I got unsweet tea and I did 2 pounds of sugar, and then I brewed really strong tea at home with a tea maker, and then I added sugar to that. And I did a blind taste test for, the office to see which one they preferred, which one they liked better, and everybody voted for this one. The other one was really great. It had a tea flavor, and they wouldn't have known any different until they took a bite of this one, and they're like, oh wow, that's a tea. I am eating a tea Italian ice, a sweet tea Italian ice. So that's all this is just really strong brewed tea. Use your favorite brand. I know every state or wherever you're at everybody has their own favorite. Oklahoma was Chicken Express, had really good sweet tea. Anybody hear of Chicken Express? No? All right. There was a little, you have? Yeah, it's good sweet tea there. They have the good ice too.
Texas, they're all over.
Yeah, they have the good ice too. Bojangles, they have good sweet tea. I've never had their sweet tea. I'll have to try that out. It's kind of like KFC and their coleslaw. It's the best. So we're just going to measure out 2 pounds of sugar. I figured, but we just want to make sure. Okay, so when you're making any Italian ices, you don't always have to use water with your products. It can be just straight brewed tea. It can be just a straight juice. I have made many Italian ices with just juices. Pineapple juices work great, mango juices, any of those Welch's milk mixed drinks or juices that you see on the shelf, those work just fine. Pineapple juice, I think I just said that. Pineapple juice and cranberry juice mixed together, amazing. It kind of makes like this really like pinky orange color. It's got that sweet and tart taste to it as well. Usually when you work with water on Italian ices, at least with my formulas, is when you're working with like an alcohol, because there's only so much alcohol and juice you can add. And then it's going to be a very soft product. Working with wines, so you would do an equal part of wine to equal parts of water. So if you're using 1 bottle of wine, fill that same bottle of wine up with water, and that makes and pairs for a really good flavor too. So when you mix your sugars with your Italian ices, you can pour it into the machine if you want. We recommend not to. You're not going to hurt the machine. It's not going to do anything to it. It just sticks to the throat of the machine, kind of makes like a mess. And then over time, your Italian ice users versus your ice cream users, or makers, I should say, their blades tend to wear out a little bit faster than your ice cream makers because the sugar acts like sandpaper. So it's just going to wear down your blades. So instead of replacing them every 5 years, you're going to have to replace them probably every 3 if you're just pouring straight sugar in there. We don't have to fully dissolve the sugar. We just got to get it wet.
Sugar dissolves surprisingly easy. So if we just stir this for 30 seconds, it's going to be good. When we pour it into the machine, there might be a little stream of sugar. Don't worry about it. Forget it. It's a little stream compared to 2 pounds of sugar. It won't make any difference.
No. This is as simple as it gets, just tea and sugar. Anybody have questions while you watch me be a pro at stirring sugar? No? I'm
going to pass around the part that spins around in the machine. Other companies call it a beater, and it spins and scrapes the ice cream or ices off the walls. We call it the old-fashioned term, dashing. And they're all the same in our machines, just progressively larger. I'm going to pass this around. This is for the machine that we're running right now. The reason over 90% of all Italian ice in the world is made on Emery Thompson is, unlike ice cream, it's the consistency of wet cement when it's ready to come out of the machine. So you literally need a cement mixer, and that's what this is. So I'll just pass that around. When Christy talks about the blades, that's these big bulky things, and where others you have to change them every 90 days. Ours go 5 years.
And thousands of dollars too at that.
Yeah, they charge as much as us.
Yeah. What was your question?
So after you made the ice cream in this machine, was there like some sort of cleaning cycle that you did?
Nope.
Get it all out of there?
Nope. So we're just going to leave it like that. Well, normally kind of what I do, this is just from my own thing. You all will develop your own thing of what you do and what works best for you. I just leave it open and just let whatever is in there just kind of drip out into like my universal pan or catch-all bucket, I guess is what you call it. And you'll see me use the same one off and on to the side. Right before we go to make our next flavor of product in this machine, I'll just flush it with plain tap water, just rinse whatever is in here out, so that way I can start my next one. You don't have to do that if you're starting with one flavor that works and pairs well, and you start with a light and go down to dark. So you start with vanilla, then strawberry, then chocolate. Or if you're doing a coffee, you want to do a coffee last, because coffee is very strong and it lingers and it kind of attaches to things in there. If you're working with inclusions like chocolate chips or whatever, you want to kind of save those for the end because of those inclusions. If you're making a chocolate chip peanut butter and you're using real peanut butter, it's kind of sticky and yuck. And then you want to go to just a chocolate. Well, that peanut butter is going to linger to your chocolate. So start with your chocolate, then go to your peanut butter, because if the chocolate goes on the peanut butter, you're not even going to taste it. You don't, like Steve said before, you don't have to open it or anything like that. You could just let it sit until you're ready to. I think the health department says if it sits for X amount of time, you'll have to re-sanitize it. You open this door, you're going to have to re-sanitize it as well too, no matter what you do. If you're working with nuts, peanuts of any kind, pistachios, almonds, whichever. Anybody have a nut allergy, by the way, in here?
We have a kid one, so that's why I'm asking.
That's why we asked.
Okay. Yeah. So if you do work with any nuts of any kind, save that for your very, 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 very last flavor of the day, because you don't want cross-contamination. My daughter is allergic to walnuts, and cross-contamination is a thing. We've been to theme parks and they say, oh no, there's nothing in here. Next thing you know, she eats it and her mouth is swollen a little bit because cross-contamination, it is a thing. So be sure you strip it down completely before you even want to make your next flavor or whatever, or just save it at the end of the day and re-sanitize. I have also heard of people that don't do peanut products. That's your own personal choice. And then for toppings, if you choose to offer that, they have them in their own individual cups, the peanuts or whatever, off to the side that can't touch anything else, because that is a serious allergy.
Also, if you're a savvy owner of a store, you let somebody else make the peanut butter. You're making it last, but you let them make the peanut butter because it is so sticky and gets into every single crevice. We can wash this machine out in about 4 minutes and be done for the day. But that peanut butter, no, you hire someone else to come in and do it. What a mess, because it's just so sticky. But peanut butter and jam, Italian ice is a fantastic flavor.
I haven't tried that one.
Oh, I made that long ago.
Oh.
That's a good one.
This is why I do the flavors now.
Made with Taurus.
Yeah, this is why I do flavors now, guys. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pour this into the machine. So Steve always says you'll see us walk around, make sure our gates are closed. Mine is open, so I have to make a mental note to myself. We've all done it. It's going to happen to you. You're going to do it too. You're going to have this open. You're going to pour your product in, and it's going to come right back down on the floor. Guilty. You got
And
your
we get
turn.
a phone call, and the customer says the machine leaks.
Yeah.
And we ask a couple of questions, and they go, is the gate open? Yeah. Okay, well, that's why there's 5 gallons of sugar water on your floor. So what's obvious is maybe not too obvious.
So people always question and ask, well, why don't you make your throats bigger so I could pour it in? Well, we don't need to. It's kind of you learning to adapt and how to do it yourself. So when you go to pour anything into a machine, you don't want to rest it onto here because it starts with a wide stream of a pour. The higher you hold your container, the thinner of your stream is going to be. So you'll see here where I'm pouring it in.
It's still all the way this large. So we're the only, and other companies have a large opening, but it comes down to less than ½ an inch. So you cannot put an Oreo cookie in the machine. They don't want you to. Their dasher that we're passing around isn't strong enough. These things are so strong. I'm here throwing whole bags of Oreo cookies, peeling bananas, dropping them in, anything. Walnuts.
Yeah, they have the whole huge wide throat. Looks really cool, and you go look in it, and it's like about this so big when it gets down to the actual machine, and nothing can go in. They have grates there to where you can't. That's the beauty of Emery Thompson's is we cut out that middleman. You don't need a paste or a gel or a flavoring company to supply you with all this stuff. Everything that you can make, you can get at a grocery store, a gas station even. During the pandemic was one of our biggest booms. Everybody that was buying their ice cream wholesale started to switch because they couldn't get their flavors. They couldn't get their products. Their customers were disappointed. They had walk-up windows. People were going nuts. Well, it doesn't matter where you were or what's going on in the world. You're going to find that package of Oreos, whether it's at Dollar General, a gas station even. Doesn't matter. You're going to find it to make that cookies and cream. So we already know we're making sweet tea Italian ice. It's literally just tea and sugar. So we're going to go here, make ice cream. We're going to more recipes, Italian ice, start. Don't need to taste test it. We turn on the refrigeration and we're good to go. So this is going to take a little bit longer to freeze. Why? 1, it's our very first batch, and 2, we just added 2 pounds of sugar. So the more sugar you add, the longer any product takes to freeze. That's just science. So if we're making plain vanilla, it can take you 8 to 9 minutes, depending on your alcohol content in the vanilla. So it's single fold, 2-fold, how much vanilla you put in there. But as Steve says, it's getting into the weeds. Just add your vanilla and be done with it. Once you start adding inclusions, that is sugar. That's mini chocolate chips. That is your candies. That is your apple pies. That's your brownies. As soon as you start adding sugar, it's going to increase your freeze times. We're not talking 10 minutes, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes, just depending on how much sugar you add. An example, the one with the bourbon pecan, that's probably going to take a good hefty hot minute to freeze, but it's going to freeze, it's going to be a top seller, and it's going to make you a lot of money because it's got alcohol and it's a fancy product. Any questions on that? You guys are a quiet crowd.
They'll wake up.
Yeah.
One little thing about the, again, about the infrared overrun control, because you see Christy going over and you saw her go, push this, push this, push this. You go, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember all that? It's made in America. Our whole machine's made in America. It has real words. It says hard ice cream, Italian ice, start, stop. I just bought a new printer, and it was made in China, And it's all symbols. And it's great if you know what the symbols mean. You know, I've learned that the triangle means you're in big trouble. It's lit up. But everything else is in symbols, and you have no instruction manual. You got to go onto a website and watch some guy explain to you what the symbols mean, just so you can turn the damn thing on. We have it nice and big. Right now, it says Italian ice. It tells you how long it's been running, and wow, what a shock! It even says the blades are spinning, just in case you didn't know. But it's all very straightforward and very simple. Yes, sir.
So Steve, it comes with one dasher when you order a new machine?
Well, I think you're thinking blades.
The blades.
Yeah, one set of blades is going to last 5 years. We don't want to sell you a second set because you're going to lose them in 5 years. I mean, I can't find anything I put away 5 years ago.
Ever drop them? Or
No, well, it isn't going to hurt it if you drop them. But any part that is in my machines, we can have to you overnight tomorrow morning. We had a hurricane here Monday. We were shipping during the hurricane. Now, granted, it got to FedEx and got delayed by a day, but it left this building. So if you need something for a 25-year-old machine, you can have it by 10:30 tomorrow morning. Other companies can't say that, but that's the way I've always run the business, is we have everything available for you. We don't want your machine ever to be down.
Is this something that we could change out? It's pretty simple, changing them out, or is it something?
Yeah, where's that dasher?
It looks simple, I just sometimes
Yeah,
things.
let me go down here, I'll grab it and I'll show you how to do it.
I'll also be taking the machines apart with Kendall after we're done. So after you're done with the tour, if you guys want to peek in here and see them open and stuff, you can do that.
Can I come over by you
Yeah.
with a camera? We just had a little thing on here so it wouldn't go flying apart. So what it consists of is 2 blades and the springs. That's it right there coming out. That's the whole dasher assembly. These are called the blades, and these are the springs. So if you want to take it all apart, this is how long it's going to take you. Okay, that's all the raw parts. I put on 2 springs. Meanwhile, you've had the machine for 5 years. It's been running perfectly. And you call me up at 8:30 at night on Sunday, and you say, I've got a problem, my machine isn't running. I'm going to ask you, when did it last run right? It ran yesterday just right. Okay, let's see. It's been running for 7 years now, flawlessly, and it stopped running last night. Did you hire a new employee? Oh yeah, he's great. He's really terrific. He's going to be wonderful. I'm teaching him. Okay, tell him that he put a blade on backwards. It was supposed to go on this way, he put it on that way. How do you know? Because we drilled a little hole in the front. So all you have to do is put this blade on and say, oh, that's the front of the machine. I can see the little hole. That blade is good. Now I take this one. If I put a blade on backwards, it isn't going to scrape right. And so you call up and say, my machine froze up. No hole there. Oh, there's the hole. I want it to the front. That's it. That's the whole machine. And that's the majority of all the parts in it. If you've ever done a soft ice cream machine, God bless you, they take 40 minutes to clean because they've got so many parts in them. This is it. That's the whole thing right there. And you can take this all apart and put it in the dishwasher. We go for simplicity here. So that's the whole system right there.
While that freezes, I am just going to give this a rinse so I know it's ready to go for our next one. So I just poured plain old tap water in, make ice cream, doesn't matter, hit one and hit start. Let it wash around for about 30 seconds or so because I know I got coconut flakes in there, and then it sat for a little bit so everything kind of shifted down. So I'm just going to stop it.
Can you talk about the last piece?
We'll do a whole segment on the hardening cabinet and get to that. So normally we would use a timer. Here's a timer, ice cream cone. If this batch is going to, what is this again?
Sweet tea Italian ice.
Okay, this is going to take 13, 14 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer for, say, 12. just put it there. When the bell, and now I can be doing what Christy's doing. I can clean the machine. I can get other flavors out. Bell goes off. Hey, I've got 2 minutes to get back to the machine. There's a timer on here, but it isn't attached to a bell. So you get a nice, decent kitchen timer. I used to tell people, go out and buy a nice Breitling watch and write it off on your taxes to time them. But then one guy called up and he said, I tried that, and now they're trying to arrest me for cheating on my taxes. So I don't talk about going to get a Breitling or a Rolex or anything like that.
Yes.
You tried the instant tea or instant coffee?
The So I haven't done the instant tea, but the instant coffee, that's a good question. She asked if I've tried the instant tea or instant coffee. I haven't done the tea, but the instant coffee is your go-to for any coffee ice cream. Reason why is those freeze-dried crystals, they are designed to dissolve. So they dissolve beautifully in the machine, and it blends really well with your mix. Your ice cream is the perfect coffee color. It's got that great taste to it. Taster's Choice is really good. I have used just straight coffee, like a cold brew or whatever. It kind of made the ice cream a little icy on the palate. I didn't really care for the texture as much as I do an instant coffee. You could concentrate it and do, like, what do they call that, in the steep?
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah.
You leave it overnight and let it slowly drip.
Yeah, that I can see working a lot better than doing just like a cold brew coffee.
But that's got a lot of variables.
Yeah.
I will drink sewer water before I'll drink a cup of Taster's Choice.
He's not kidding.
However, this makes the greatest ice cream in the world because of just what Christy said. This is freeze-dried crystals. I would never drink this. It's terrible. One little trick, though. My sister comes in here. She moves down from Chicago. She's way older than I am. And she steals my ice cream. It says coffee ice cream. She steals it. I don't see her for 3 days. When I see her, she's got heavy bags like this, and she looks like hell. And I said, what happened to you? She said, well, I stole a half gallon of your coffee and was hungry and ate most of it at 11 o'clock at night 3 nights ago. She said, I've been up for 3 days. So I changed the formula from the regular red to decaf. It's so awful, you're never going to taste the difference. But the decaf isn't going to keep you up all night. And I love my Death Wish coffee, I love coffee ice cream. And this really is great. There is a 35-cent coupon in every jar, and you have to watch out for it. Not to save the money, but it's going right in the machine. And it wraps itself around the blades, and then you wonder why there's little pieces of paper, with little green writing, in your ice cream. Taster's Choice, great stuff.
So I'm just giving it 3 flushes. I don't need the water to be clear because what's in there is not even going to affect the flavor of that pecan at all. I just wanted to get whatever ice cream might have been left or any coconut flakes out of there.
But as Christy said earlier, the key to making ice cream is plan your production. You're not going to make just one batch of vanilla. You've got too much business. So you're going to make 3, 5, 6 batches of vanilla, and then you go to vanilla in the machine and flavor outside. Well, what would that be? Well, that would be butterscotch swirl, where we're pouring it in using a pastry bag or a ladle, or chocolate swirl, or peanut butter swirl. So you've still only made ice cream in the machine. It's not contaminated. And then you make your swirl ice creams. Now you go to your strawberry, your fruit flavor. Strawberry, half the strawberries in the machine for my flavor and the other half for the identity. What is this stuff? Oh, I can see pieces of strawberry. So I split my flavor. Nobody else can put anything in the machine except us.
Coming behind you.
Strawberry, and then I'm going to make red raspberry, because the only difference between strawberry and red raspberry is the taste and the seeds. And I want the seeds in there. How else would you know it's red raspberry? So it's a little darker. It'll cover over that half a pint of ice cream that's left in the machine. It'll still all be red raspberry. Then I make Bordeaux cherry, which is even darker. And again, I'm making 3, 4, 5 batches. So I've made 3 hours, 4 hours worth of ice cream, and I've never rinsed the machine once. It's just that simple.
So we're going to do a quick little cutoff check. We're hitting the 11-minute mark. So I'm going to open and close it. It's kind of a little soupy there still, so I don't know if you can kind of see it in here. Italian ice will not have the same viscosity as like an ice cream will. You'll notice that'll be a little more on the softer side coming out, so you can have it have more of a firmer peak, but it's not going to be as firm looking as an ice cream would when it comes out. So people ask, should I use a stabilizer? Should I not use a stabilizer? I'm going to tell you yes and no. There are times where you do, there's times where you don't. If you are planning to sell your flavor within a couple of days, you don't need a stabilizer. If you have an event coming up and you want to bulk your product and you need it to last longer than about 5 days, you're going to want to use a stabilizer. What happens is you're going to see your container, and let's say it's the sweet tea Italian ice, sugar's heavy. Sugar's going to start to go to the bottom while your watery product is sitting on top. So you'll start to see it look wider up here, and then it gets darker, 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 because your product will start to separate, and it's going to be hard as a rock, and you're scooping flavorless Italian ice on the top. A stabilizer will help keep that product consistent, and it will also help prevent it from melting super fast when it's out in the cup walking around or whatever. It'll also help with your scooping consistency too as well. Yes?
You can also, we're using pure cane sugar. Nowadays in the supermarket it says sugar. It's not pure cane sugar. It's beet sugar. So watch out for that. The Domino, and there may be one or two other brands, will say pure cane sugar. It makes a big difference in the taste. It's important. Now, there's another problem that we solved, and that is I'm a diabetic. I showed before, type 1 diabetic. I'm not supposed to eat any of this stuff, but we cheat. I've got my iPhone, and I can eat a Boston cream pie, and then I just give myself more insulin. Real simple. But for people who don't want to cheat, I came up with a product. I was told about it 5 years ago, and it's called allulose. This is a sugar, but it's made from rare fruits, and it will not affect, I have to worry about my glycemic scale. If my glycemic scale goes up, I'm in trouble. I want to keep it level. So this has, sugar is going to drive it way up, and this doesn't affect it in the least. So I can make all these Italian ice, I can make all fresh fruit sorbets, I can do cream ice, I can do all of these using allulose. I was also told about a product, don't worry about the name, Anthony's a good guy, but this product is called erythritol. Don't use erythritol. It'll give you a heart attack. Just don't eat anything with erythritol. Maybe not today, but somewhere down the road. Allulose is perfectly safe, and I said we give everything away for free. Everything we know we do for free. There's one little cheap trick, and that is the allulose formulas, of which I've got about 6 of them so far, and you can make anything you want. You have to write to me at steve@emerythompson.com, and I'll send you the formulas. I'm a very lonely man. I only have the most wonderful wife in the world, who is my office manager, 2 golden retrievers, and over 40,000 customers who call until 9 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. So I'm really bored and lonely. I want you to call me, and I'll send you the formulas for this. It's just fantastic because you have a certain number of people who want sugar-free. Don't go crazy with it. Don't have 6 flavors of sugar-free, because it's like us diabetics. We go in and we walk into a bakery and complain that you don't have anything, or you don't have any sugar-free products for us. Well, I shouldn't be there in the first place. I'm a diabetic. What am I doing in a bakery? So
Yep.
maybe do 1 or 2 flavors of dairy-free, no matter what cane sugar-free. And you're doing a small market, a very vocal market, but a small market. So that's another thing that you can do with our machines.
And when you do that with the allulose, it's the equal amount of allulose to equal amount of sugar. So if you're doing 2 pounds of sugar, you substitute it for equal amounts of 2 pounds of allulose. And just to touch on that real quick with the people about asking for sugar-free products, you can say it's a no sugar added. If you are just doing water and allulose, it's a sugar-free product. You add strawberries, that's sugar. So there's no added sugars to it, but a natural one. Nobody that's a sugar-free person is going to sniff their nose up at real strawberries in your product, you know. So that's something that you can also say too. And a lot of people might walk out. Some people might go, well, you should have sugar-free products. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to order that sugar-free. Then they're going to go get your fudge topping and your sprinkles. And then they're going to ask for some gummy bears on top. So that just kind of defeats the purpose.
That was my father-in-law.
Uh-oh, timer. We're ready.
That was my father-in-law. He was NYPD. And I'm trying to court his daughter 20 years back, and I bring him ice cream. Go right ahead.
Sorry. So I'm going to turn off the refrigeration. And we have sweet tea
Look at
Italian
that.
ice.
See that nice consistency?
We let it go a little too long from yakking.
But not bad.
Nah. But this is fine too, even. So we're just gonna give her a good smush.
See, we're trying to get as much product made in an hour as we can. So it doesn't do any advantage to pull it stiffer. It might look prettier to you, but it's not affecting the product. So we would
No.
normally pull that out a little stiffer, get the rest of it out quicker.
So this is gonna scoop really nice for you guys.
That's beautiful.
The stabilizer is only for Italian ice, not for ice cream.
Say that again?
The stabilizer is only for Italian ice, not for ice cream.
You can add it in ice cream, but I don't see a necessity for it.
It's already in the dairy blend,
Yeah.
and it's going to be natural, like wargum or carrageenan. One's a seaweed, one's a plant, and so I don't have any problems with those. I don't like polysorbate 80. If I see polysorbate 80, no thanks, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
The Italian ice, I could throw everything Dow Chemical makes into ice cream, and you'll never
Switch
taste it.
spots with me.
But sugar and water, you put a stabilizer in there and all of a sudden the product becomes sticky and gummy. Now it's got its place. If you're selling at Yankee Stadium and you need large quantities that have to be ready to serve, or you're doing a festival and you're going to be there for 3 days, yeah, you're probably going to put a stabilizer in. But if it's your store and you're catering to people who are walking through the door and they want all natural as best you can do, I am not going to put it in there. Cold is my best stabilizer. I leave it
Yeah.
in the freezer. Tomorrow it's going to rain for 3 days, let's say, so I'm not even going to pull this out of the deep freeze. I'm going to leave it there. You wake up in the morning, and when you're in the Italian ice business, you say, "What's the weather today?" Bless you.
Bless you.
And that will determine what you're going to do. And it's all, everything is marketing. A young mother comes in and she's got her 6-year-old daughter with her, and the little girl sees the cherry Italian ice and says, Mommy, I want the cherry Italian ice. You can't have that. That's red dye 40. And you, the owner, go, oh no, ma'am, that's concentrated beet juice. We get that from Green Mountain Flavors in Oswego, Illinois. And it is just, he takes beet juice, concentrates it, gets rid of the smell, and it's the reddest thing in nature. So the owner is saying, no, ma'am, that's concentrated beet juice that makes that red. And she looks at the product, and she looks at you, and then looks around and says, wow, if they're going to all that effort just to get rid of red dye 40, what's the rest of this place like? And you just got her forever. You got her and all her friends forever, because this is what, I mean, my age group, we invented roadkill. So you don't want to buy anything from us that's food. But the younger age groups, they are very conscious of what they're eating, and they know it's important, and it's proven to be important. So we're going to do it, and we're going to do it very simply just by going to the grocery store and buying ingredients.
I've been doing this for so long. My own daughter, she can spot a product a mile away when it has a stabilizer in it just by looking at it. So your customers will know, a difference. And then advertising that, made with all natural ingredients. If you guys got a local peach farm, blueberry patch, anything like that, and you want to pair up with them to make blueberry ice cream, if they have, you could put a little freezer in their checkout store where they pick your own blueberries to put pints of blueberry ice cream in there. You can even advertise that, sticking with your local community, because as Steve said, our generation kind of really pushes for a lot of those things. Times change, markets change, trends, fads, keeping up with those things. Just because it's amazing, for you that, oh, this is what I had when I was a kid and it's going to sell like hotcakes, doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're looking for. So staying up with the industry, the trends, the fads, what's going on, and just reaching out with your local community is also a big deal. Okay.
Questions? You got to have questions. You came a long way. Yes.
If you're going to make the sugar-free ice cream, the dairy mix that you get, is it going to be without sugar, or is it going to have allulose or something?
As Christy said, you can't have dairy product that's sugar-free. You can have no sugar added, but milk itself, what's in here, came out of the cow with sugar in it. Lactose sugar, I think it is. And so you cannot make it dairy-free. You can make it no sugar added. And it's a very, very small market. I just wouldn't bother. Let Breyers have it. It's just not worth the space. You got to look at it and say, instead of 32 compartments now for ice cream, you're now down to 12 doing what we do. So you don't have space for every fad that there is. There is everybody, Tie-Dye Jeff, I'll quote him, everybody on earth either eats ice cream or wishes they could eat ice cream. That's a huge market. If I come in and I say, hey, I'm a type 1 diabetic, what do you got for me? Just say thank you very much. You shouldn't be in here, and you shouldn't be in the bakery shop either. But find a politer way to say it. Instead of me saying forget about it, get out. Because I'm too small a market. You can't please everybody. Sounds like an old song. So no, you'll never make dairy ice cream sugar-free. Can't be done because the cow is sugar.
So what do you guys think of the sweet tea Italian ice?
Oh, I
Good?
want to try it.
Tastes like sweet tea. I liked it. I thought it was very good.
Before we move on, just a quick bit about sugar itself and texture. Oh, that's good. This is what I call a New York Italian ice. A New York Italian ice has a very distinct texture to it. But it depends on where you are in New York. In 99% of New York, this is Italian ice. You get into some of the real Italian neighborhoods over out by JFK Airport and where nobody speaks English, they are going to be selling something that is really coarse and icy. And they call that granita or granite. And then you get down to Philadelphia, and the product is really smooth. Same formula as Christie's, but really, really smooth. And people call up and they say, I know where you're from right away. I mean, if the first word's out of your mouth, or forget about it, you're one of us. If you say, I want a Wada, W-A-D-D-A, I want a Wada ice. So when did you leave Philadelphia? How'd you know? 10 years ago. Because they call it Wada ice or water ice. And there is a difference between the granita, the New York Italian ice, and the water ice. The smoothness gets smoother, and it's the sugar. If I'm making the granita in a 24-quart machine, this one, it's 6 pounds of sugar, 6 pounds of cane sugar to make a lemon ice. If I'm making a traditional New York Italian ice like Ralph's or Gino's or Marino's or Cafe Ferrara or any of my other thousands of customers, it's not 6 pounds of sugar, it's 7 pounds of sugar. You can see the sugar is controlling the smoothness. Go down the Jersey Turnpike to Philadelphia for a water ice, and it's much, much smoother. It's 8 pounds of sugar. Nothing changed in the flavor. And nothing changed in the water, just the sugar content went up. The sugar controls the smoothness of the texture. So, and all Italian ice is the most secret product in the world. No one except Christy and me are going to tell you anything about how to make Italian ice because they know that that portion you're eating right now cost about 9 cents and we're selling it for $3.
Oh gosh, probably cheaper than that. This one?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, brewed,
maybe less.
flavored water.
But that's why nobody will tell you anything. They'll just all tell you that the formulas came from their great-great-grandmother from Genoa, Italy. Does that look like your great-great-grandmother?
No.
I don't think so. It was her formula. So it's the sugar that controls the smoothness of the product. And it's all that simple. That's all it is. Really, really simple stuff, but we keep it very secret.
Yes.
I have a question. So for the tea Italian ice cream, like the bubble tea shop, in the Asian bubble tea shop, there are hundreds of tea flavors.
Yes.
So can we use the milk tea to turn it into the Italian ice cream?
You mean Italian ice or ice cream?
Like the bubble tea, like a regular
Yeah,
bubble
you
tea,
can make it
whatever.
into Italian ice. You would just need to, what I did with this one was I just have a tea maker at home, and instead of adding the ice to it like you're supposed to, I just strong brewed it, and that's all I did. So you could do the same thing. You don't need to mix it with any water, so just your straight brewed tea. If you were to make it into an ice cream, I would try to get it as concentrated as you can, so that way because like I said, I've done it with cold brew before, and it just really made that ice cream very textury and icy and flavor. I just didn't really like it. So try to get it as concentrated as you can. Did you want to do your famous Italian ice and sorbet trick?
Yes.
Or no, shtick, I should say.
Shtick, yes, my shtick.
Okay.
In New York, we sell Italian ice in what's called a squeeze cup. That's a squeeze cup. Its proper name from Solo. Christy used to run Solo, or she told me she ran it. Maybe it was just a production line, but she ran Solo. That's all I need to know.
Many of them.
Many years ago, when she was 14.
Yes.
So that's technically called a pleated water cup. That's 3.5 ounces, and by the time we fill it with ice and crown it over, it's going to be 4 ounces. So that's a regular size cup. And then we might go a larger one and one after that. And the way you eat it is you squeeze it up from the bottom and you eat it like that. So very inexpensive. No cup, no spoon, no nothing. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. I do trade shows, and I hand this to people, and they say, well, where's the spoon? And I said, no, you got to eat it like this. Hand it to this one lady, nice young lady. She says she's from, that she knew Italian ice, and she was from California. So I start to hand her a spoon. She goes, what's the spoon for? I'm from Brooklyn. And she squeezes it like that. That's the way we do it. This is Italian ice, lemon ice, and it cost me about 8 cents using fresh lemon juice, sugar, cane sugar, and water to produce this. 8 cents. So maybe I'm going to sell this for $2.50. I think it's higher now. I take the same product, exact same product, nothing changes. Don't listen to anybody else on earth. Same product, dump it into a champagne glass and sell it as fresh fruit sorbet and sell it for $7 because it's in a champagne glass.
It's very true.
And we changed the name. We've between these two, we've hit a compromise, and we now call this fresh fruit sorbets because people are eating so many smoothies. I know Paula makes me a smoothie every day. I mean, it looks like sewer water, but it tastes great.
Sludge is what he calls it.
Sludge. But you put it in a nicer container, and all of a sudden the price goes up. So just keep it in mind. If you're doing a festival, it's an Italian ice. If you're doing a wedding, it's fresh fruit sorbet.
All right, so I'm going to just chop my pecans up in a Ninja. Most of the ingredients that you add into... Hey guys, most of the ingredients that you add into the batch freezer, your inclusions, as Jeff calls it, it's the world's largest Ninja. It'll break up almost anything that you put in there. There are some things, obviously, like pecans. Walnuts are very soft. Those will break down pretty good. Almonds, pistachios. If you're wanting them smaller, anything that's hard, I would give them like a couple pulses in a blender to get them broken up pretty good. Anybody excited for this flavor? I am. Anytime to have alcohol on the job, I mean, I'm just saying. Okay. Steve, I'm sticking this in the sink, so don't go fishing your hand in here, okay?
Got it.
Okay, cool. All right, so when we are going to do this flavor, so we have got our dairy mix, we have our honey roasted or candied pecans, we have our brown sugar, we have our bourbon, and we have our maple flavor here. Now, because we're working with sugar, alcohol, and theoretically alcohol, the freeze times on this is going to be a little bit substantially higher, as we had talked about before. Do I have a brave soul that would like to attempt to pour this bladder into the machine? I feel like you. All right, well, come on.
As long as you don't kick me out, I'll spill it.
Nope. So you're going to hold it, and you're going to choke it when you go. Are you right or left?
Right.
Okay, so you're going to hold it like this. You're going to pour here. When you go to pour, you're going to have a stream that's going to shoot. It's not going to dribble down. Okay? All right. How much confidence do we have in him? Little, lot? All right. I'll stand on this side of you. Oh, let me pull this up. There you go. You got it.
Just tip it over.
Just 1, 2, 3, go. Look at that. He got it.
I don't know why I'm standing on my toes.
We don't get clapped.
I know, all right?
This is first time. You got to prove.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. Got a great support group behind you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So this just goes to show nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be scared. His very first time, he didn't even spill a drop. He got it right into the machine. It's a lot easier than people think.
Squeeze this, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep, just get it all
Every
out.
last drop.
If you want, it's money in the bag. So you can get probably, I don't know, 2, 3 scoops in there.
Good.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you very much. You did great. Okay, so we added a whole bladder. Now I had frozen these chocolate chips into the machine or into the freezer before I put them into the machine. Kind of sounds silly. Why am I freezing chocolate before I'm putting it into a machine to be frozen? Well, milk chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate, it's very soft. And to keep its viscosity, you want to freeze any chocolate. So if you're working with like Butterfingers, Almond Joys, Heath, anything like that, freeze it. Chop it into the Ninja, because if you don't, it's going to be like a sticky hot mess, and then your Ninja is going to just go like all over the place. So freezing any chocolates first that you want to chop up, or any chocolate you want to chop up, freeze it first, so it'll make it into a nice crumble and it'll look like that. And then putting it into the machine. Freezing these beforehand helps keep them nice and in their shape. So when I go to put it into the machine's not going to, turn around and just kind of like break down that chocolate chip. There's still going to be tons of chocolate chips no matter what if you don't freeze them, because I do it anyways all the time. But we're going to freeze these first. Yes?
Did you freeze your other inclusions also, like your gummy worms or whatever the heck you're putting in there? Did you freeze those too?
So if you're talking in gummy worms, yes. I did Swedish fish. I did it both ways. A Swedish fish ice cream. My husband loves those things. It's the most disgusting thing I think I've ever put in my mouth. So freezing those type of products first definitely helped, because I chopped them up into the Ninja and it broke it up into those little bits and pieces. Cookies and stuff, don't need to freeze those. Those do great. If you were to work with Oreos and you dump them right into the machine, it's like a beautiful harmony. So the machine will break down probably half of those that you put in there, and your ice cream comes out with this actual, every molecule of that dairy mix is absorbing those Oreos, so it's gray looking. Some customers even call it the gray stuff. Beauty and the Beast, eat the gray stuff. It's delicious. So it breaks it down, and it makes it a great harmony of blending in the Oreos, and you still have your bits and pieces and chunks of Oreos too. If you want huge or bigger pieces of chunks of Oreos, then I would suggest having some broken off to the side and then toss them in as it's coming out upon extraction. All right, so once again, never made this flavor before, so we're going to play with it before we turn on our refrigeration. So we're making a gelato, right? So we're going to hit gelato and start. Now, I know it said a pound of brown sugar, so that's half this bag. So I'm just gonna pull an Emerald Lagasse and eyeball it. Right? Yes, no. Maybe I should have put this in a container. And you don't have to buy the top brand of everything. It's Walmart brown sugar. Brown sugar is molasses and white cane sugar. It doesn't need to be Domino. It doesn't need to be C and whatever that brand is. Brown sugar is brown sugar. Make it yourself if you really want to. All right, I'm calling that good. Okay. So, you can use real maple syrup. I opted to not. I opted to do a maple flavoring because I'm already adding bourbon. I'm already adding sugared pecans. I'm already adding brown sugar, and I'm adding. Oh wait, the chocolate chips were for the other one. I don't know why I pulled that out. But you guys didn't pay attention. Okay, good. I don't feel bad.
Plastic on it. I'll get you a knife.
It doesn't have plastic on it. I think there's no plastic on it. It's hard. All right. Well, while he works on that. So what does it say? Two cups of bourbon?
It's a trick.
2 cups. All right. Everybody's going to pass around. It's like sword in the stone. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Thank you. All right.
The little lady in the second row got it.
So I'm going to add about 2 ounces of this. You know what? I'm going to let's do an ounce and see. All right, and then what? 2 cups of bourbon? Hey, Steve, what's that over there? All right. Uh-oh, party foul, party foul.
You're making gelato. Any reason you're not doing it with ice cream? You can do both.
So.
Yes, of course.
Oh, go ahead.
We just wanted to do a lower air content, a more dense product, which is basically the definition of
I don't
gelato.
like this container. Yeah, I don't like that one.
The Italians hated us because we were the first people to make Oreo cookie gelato and mint chocolate chip gelato, and these are not official Italy flavors. So gelato can be whatever you want it to be.
All right, so I'm gonna. Can't get it anymore. Spoon's not long enough. Where's the?
Yeah, you can smell it from here. Well, there's nothing better than Make It Smart.
So you can also do it this method and give it a good little taste. Well, let me know what you think before I turn on the refrigeration. Need anything? He's like, oh, yes. 10%. Are we good? Okay, so we're doing 10%, but hold on one second, I'll get to that. So we're going to turn on the refrigeration. He said it's good. I think it's good. So now we're going to add our pecans. Maybe.
Questions, anyone?
Can we serve this to kids?
I'm sorry?
Do you have to market, you have to like?
Oh, you have to put up
different container?
you have to put up a sign that says you must be over 21 years of age to buy this, which is good because it costs more to make because of the alcohol. So if you have 3 or 4 alcohol flavors and you're charging, say, $6 instead of $4.50, you're making more money and you're differentiating them so that when that 16-year-old comes in and says, "I'd like to have the rum raisin, please," and you go, "Let's see your proof." Oh, it's in the car. I'll be back. And then he never comes back.
If you're doing it wholesale, does it have to be in a different container though, or it doesn't matter?
Wholesaling, you'd have to check with your state, but every state nowadays, I mean, they never heard of alcohol ice cream, what we call boozy ice cream. Boozy's a great name. Where I came from, they called it alcohol-infused, which was a little too highbrow for me. You know, Christy heard this one lady, she goes, "Oh, can you make boozy ice cream?" We go, "Oh, what a great name, it makes you smile." Every state now that I know of now has a limit of how much alcohol you can put in. They didn't do before. All they did was say, "Well, you got to go talk to the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms people." You know, I thought it was a convenience store. but they have a limit. So they'll tell you what the limit is, and then you put in less than that limit every time, and you'll be fine. Yes?
Can you duplicate this flavor without the alcohol?
That actually, that's what I'm getting to right here.
Go to it.
Glad you said that. So he asked, can you duplicate this flavor without the alcohol? So absolutely. So right here is a bourbon flavor. It smells just like the real thing. I would not recommend licking it. Probably not very good. And then this is the maple flavor that we use. This is both used by Weber, both made by Weber Flavors. They have almost every flavor that you can imagine. I really like them a lot because you only need a few mere ounces versus using like a whole jug or a whole Torani syrup. There's times where you use a syrup versus using a flavoring. If you're looking for body and texture, I would use a syrup. If you're looking to add and boost something, I would use a flavoring for that. I'll pass these around so you can smell the bourbon. We might have to have her open it though, because I don't know how stuck it is. But yes, absolutely. You can make any alcohol flavor you want into a non-alcoholic by just getting a flavoring for it. I got you. So be sure to smell that bourbon by Weber, and it's scary how close that is. So it's pretty amazing.
And some of the name brand liquor companies like Kahlua have come out with a non-alcoholic version of it in an extract so that you can hunt those down too and get real Kahlua for Kahlua and cream in non-alcohol.
Steve, when we were kids and the rum raisin was very popular, was that not rum?
Oh no! Well, no, it was not rum, unless it was made by my uncle. And my uncle liked to tip a little bit, so he said that you had to take. It's important to use the golden raisins instead of the dark ones. I don't know why. That was just what he said. And you put them in a bowl, you fill it up with rum, put it in the refrigerator, and then according to him, it had to stay in there for a week so that they would absorb the rum, and you need to check it every night. So every night, there wasn't much left by the time it was time to make ice cream. But yeah, no, back then,
But they didn't have
no alcohol.
So it wasn't real rum, you're saying?
No, not back then. It's only recently that we're doing real alcohol.
Any questions on the topic of working with alcohols, working with or making this flavor? No? Okay. So as you saw, I have never made this before, but I know what works. And you being the ice cream maker, you'll learn that very quick. You can do that very easily. Your second or third batch in, you're going to know what it is that you need to add more of, need to have less of. So there's no need to honestly buy this machine 6 months before you're opening to develop your flavors. Maybe a month. But you buy it 6 months in advance and you're gonna be like, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. It's really quick, you know, and have like Steve said, pen and paper. When I'm doing this at home and I'm adding 6 ounces of this, I write 6 ounces. I make the product. I think it tastes great in the machine. The next day I go to try it, or when it's completely frozen in the machine, and then I tasted it, I'm like, you know what? I could have added a little more of this. And then I will could add 3 more ounces of so-and-so. So when I go to make it the next time, I know I need to add 9 ounces.
We were talking about it yesterday in Christy's office, and if you don't have the exact flavor that we're making right now, you go to our website and you're going to find something that's has alcohol in it, because we were trying to figure out how much alcohol she wanted to put in. So we found a recipe for rum raisin, happened to be, that was on the 24 quart. Well, we wanted to say, what would it be if it was a CB350? 1/4 the size. So we take that recipe, divide it by 4, and then there's how much alcohol we could make the same formula in this. So we already have them there for you to take for free at our website. And I'm very proud of that, because every other company that you ever talk to is going to say, buy our machine and we'll teach you how to make vanilla gelato. We say, we'll teach you everything that we know, and it'll all be up at our website, and it's all for free. And if you like what we do, you'll buy a machine.
Yeah, we don't keep secrets. We want to help you succeed, make the right choices, make the right decisions. We have hundreds of people call and email us just to make sure, you know, their formulas are going on right. You know, it's something that you might not have thought of that is not going quite exactly as you need it to. Your scooping's off, your temp you might seem is a little different. So just give us a call. 9 times out of 10, we can think on the opposite side and try to help you figure out what's going on that you can make it better or fix a problem or anything like that. We're here to help you succeed. We don't want to see you fail. And as Steve said, everybody else will do that. I went through hoops one time just to get a recipe for a competitor of ours to make ice cream in their machine. And it was the most goofiest thing ever. It was syrups and then puree this and add that and you gotta have a paste. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, I don't need any of that. I could just go to the supermarket and buy my strawberries. I could buy my mango juice and add it, you know, and that's the simplicity of everything.
They use pastry chefs to come up with what few formulas they give you, and we're just two ordinary people who think, hey, this might taste good in ice cream. And that's what the business is about. If you like it, if somebody else is going to like it, it's going to be fun.
Yep, and everybody will call or email, you know, have you ever made this flavor before? And I'm like, no, but I'll figure it out and let you know. Some of them was a dill pickle Italian ice. He despised it. It was amazing, but I'm also a very big pickle junkie. It's a very, see? It's a very big popular flavor in Texas, believe it or not. I don't know if you have sports kids, but they sell like pickle pops where they take the pickle juice and freeze it and the kids walk around licking it. So it's a thing. Pizza ice cream, I've made that. It was pretty good. It was, I wouldn't say it tastes like a crispy pepperoni pizza. It tasted more like a...
And then there was ranch dressing ice cream.
Ranch dress. I was jumping on the wagon with everybody else on that one.
I got to add one more thing about the pickle ice cream.
Oh, the bacon.
Mickey Brown is Christy Brown's husband, and he's our second engineer here at Emery-Thompson. You'll probably meet him today when we do the tour. And Mickey makes the world's greatest, most crisp, flat bacon. And so the product was absolutely disgusting, the pickle. But I don't like pickles anyway. But Mickey made this bacon, and so when we're giving it out to people, we thought, well, we're going to put some crumbles on it. No, Christy says, wait a minute, we got all this bacon. Instead of the spoon, she sticks a big bacon stick into the glass. You can probably find it in one of our videos. And everybody used the bacon to eat the ice. So even though the ice was horrendous, the bacon was great.
It was not horrendous. We did an audience shot for when everybody tried it at the same time. So if you want to look it up, just Google or on YouTube, type in Emery-Thompson dill pickle. I'm sure you'll find it really quick that way, and you can like skim it through to watch the audience shot. They were surprised. So it was like a sweet and tart type of treat. So if you have questions, you need recipe helps, you have an event coming up and you don't know what to do or anything like that, or if you want to know this works or have I tried this before, or what are our thoughts on it, definitely give us a call or shoot us an email and we can help you with that, saying, you know what, I haven't done that, but I've done something close and this is probably what you should do going forward. And then you guys will learn really quick too. So this should be getting pretty close. So we ran this at a gelato setting. Gelato is a very low overrun and theoretically supposed to be like less fat and less sugar. But we're making this to be an amazing high quality ice cream. This product right here, what we just made, you can sell this for easily, probably like $8.99, maybe around that if you were in Florida, for like a scoop or two. And you could probably put $15 a pint on this. So running at a gelato speed means you're not going to get as big as an overrun as you would on homemade ice cream. So homemade ice cream is double what you put in. It's 100% overrun. So you put in 10 quarts of mix, you're going to get 20 quarts of product back out. Gelato, we put in 10 quarts of mix, you're probably going to get around 15-ish quarts of product back out. We added some more volume to it, so you probably get a little bit more than that. So let's do the cutoff check. Oh, that looks nice.
Nice.
I don't know.
Now, this is the only machine that you can put alcohol in and it'll turn into a product. Everybody else, if they make any videos, they'll add the alcohol afterwards and store it in. They don't have enough refrigeration capability in their machine to make an alcohol ice cream. Alcohol freezes at something like minus 237 degrees Fahrenheit.
I can't help
give or take a degree. And so it never freezes in here. We're not going to minus 237, but it's cold enough that everything around it is going to keep the alcohol in suspension. So We can put a lot of alcohol in here and have it turn into ice cream or gelato or even Italian ice, where other people can't do it.
Yep. And you know, flavors, making high-end flavors like this too work really well for if you have special events, like catering events, if you want to go like venturing down that route, if you're doing like a club event or something like that. And even just having it in your over 21 section at your store. Word will spread very quickly if you carry products like this. So we are about 12 minutes. It's actually a little bit faster than I thought. So we're gonna give her a little cut off here. I'm gonna give her 2 more minutes. I feel like a little bit more safer on that. Yes.
So the alcohol and Italian ice, you have to alter that recipe? Like, how much alcohol can you put in the Italian ice?
The same as what you would do for ice cream, only take out an equal amount of water.
And it depends on your proof too. So she asked, can you add, how much alcohol can you add to the Italian ice? So that same rule concept goes for ice creams as well. So it depends on your proof. This is very high proof, so I can only add like yay much of it. If this was a Malibu, which is a very low proof, I can dump the whole bottle in there. If it's a bottle of wine, I can dump a whole bottle in there because the proof is very low. If it was Jeff would have dumped this whole thing in there. Well, that's Jeff.
Yes.
Would you add a stabilizer to that?
No, I would not. There's no need to. This is also going to scoop a lot softer than your other products that you're going to have in your dipping cabinet. So if I was you, I would keep this at your corners of your cabinet or against your walls because that's your coldest points. And then your plain basic flavors like vanillas and strawberries, I would keep more towards the center where it's warmer. So that way this one isn't scooping like butter and the other ones aren't scooping too hard. But stabilizers really aren't needed. Steve always said, if you've got it sitting in your shelf for a week, don't make it no more.
Nobody likes the flavor.
No, nobody likes it.
Nobody likes my coffee banana ice cream.
No,
But then again, nobody steals my ice cream. I mean, everybody's in here stealing my ice cream. It says Steve's at, death.
Oh, he does.
And
Look.
so I make the banana coffee. It's horrible. But at least I have ice cream.
Do not take. Steve. Oh. Steve.
It doesn't do me any good. I take bribes seriously. I got a lot of people to bribe. And you do it with ice cream.
The chest freezer shut. All right, so I'm going to call we're good. So we're going to go ahead and shut this off. Who's ready for this flavor? Yeah? Well, raise your hand. What's up with that?
Now see how slow it's coming out because it's at a lower speed. When it gets towards the end, Christy can kick up the speed to help finish extracting it.
Oh my gosh.
Good?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not an alcoholic, guys, I swear.
But this one's going to be labeled Christy.
Yeah. It's going to be a super rich ice cream. Oops. All right, keep her going. Now we're hitting the end, so.
Nice trick, huh? Same thing with pints, only in reverse. You mentioned, I think it was you, about the butterfat content of gelato. It depends on where the Italians would look at this and us using 10%, and they would say, "Oh, these Americans, they know nothing. This is terrible." But I was having a conversation. I'm friends with Cappigiani because I worked with them to sell this freezer. And I asked the head of Cappigiani, I said, "What butterfat is gelato?" And he said, "Where in Italy are you talking about?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, up in Milan, Milan is very wealthy, so it's about 8% butterfat. In Rome, it's about 4% butterfat. Rome's not as wealthy. And you get down to Sicily, and it's 2% butterfat because they literally can't afford an 8 or a 5 or a 6. So he said, it can be whatever you want it to be. It's just a matter of what your cost structure is going to be. When gelato first came to America. It was in San Francisco, and I happened to be out there. I drove my sister's Volkswagen Beetle out there and was surfing. And gelato was just showing up. We didn't know what it was and even how to pronounce it. And they just took plain old 16% butterfat and threw in pistachios and called it gelato. They weren't that far off. But it's not, it doesn't sell the way it does in Italy. I mean, people came back from Italy in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they raved about the gelato, but they also raved about the wine and the pasta. And I said, where does gelato taste better? In Italy or under the number 4 mug remover Subway in the Bronx? And they said, well, of course it tastes better in Italy. I said, what if it was the same product, exact same product? And they thought about it. I said, see, it's because you're on vacation. You know, which is a nicer atmosphere, Italy, where everything tastes delicious, or the number 4 mug remover? So it really depends on where you are and who you're selling to. It's important.
Everything tastes better in Brooksville, right, Steve?
I don't know. We're the fast food capital of the world. We have every fast food place that ever existed is right here in Brooksville.
Oops.
We don't have tourists.
Up the road, Wiki Wachi for the mermaids.
Wiki Wachi.
The famous mermaids. That's about it. I know you guys are just so excited.
Can I ask that question?
Please.
The one that I asked her.
Yeah, Q&A is when we sit, so just wait for that.
And we're desperate for you to ask questions. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Christy and I are just going to sit up here and talk about dogs and ice cream and stuff like that.
The hardest part is never licking your
What
fingers.
butterfat is this going to be?
10%. And we're going to explain why as soon as we get the 2 chairs out here.
Yeah, well, let's get this out for you guys first. And the ice cream put up.
Yeah.
Oops.
And I'm sorry there's no seconds. This is all Christie's. It's going to have Christie signs all over it.
Oh. All right.
Uh-oh, now the videographer is going to be drunk. I can imagine what our video is going to look like.
You guys will
Right,
never
Michaela?
eat a better ice cream.
No.
Smells. Here, we'll- there is color changing spoons, so we started dipping into those. So if you see one being blue, okay, you're gonna take that one. Can I squeeze past you? I'm sorry.
Steve, I like your upgrade in the chairs from your 8-year ago videos.
Oh, thank you.
Started.
Yeah, we don't waste anything.
So how's that one?
It's the best one today, for sure.
It's very good. All right, let me get this put up. I made a mess. Coming through. I don't think that one will fit that one. Eh,
You're wrong.
we don't have any more.
Okay. We'll put saran wrap on it later.
What do you think? Yeah?
Oh,
I can get it, guys.
I had to go get a dog. I'll be right back.
Ugh. I quit. All right. I'll be right back.
Can I get both dogs in on a leash? Just for a minute. I'm going to put Savannah on my lap and let Sammy just be up front. Oh.
Bourbon pecan, Paula.
Bourbon pecan?
Don't eat it.
Paula, did you try the key lime?
Yes.
Wasn't that great?
Definitely give Paula, Olga, and Slade a cup.
February
And then
to
I
March.
need 3 labels,
April,
extra
May,
labels that say
June,
bourbon pecan.
Can I answer any questions?
Okay.
Wah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be questions answered without a dog update. This is Sammy. Can you lower the camera down, Michaela? Sammy is now just turned 9 years old, and she's a New Yorker. She's from Westchester County. And come on, Sam. So just wanted to show everybody. And then Savannah, who is born February 2nd. So let's see. March, April, May, June, July, August. Coming up on 7 months. All right.
Yes.
I'll trade you. So she started off like this, and it's a picture on one of our videos. Come here, Savannah. Come here. There you go. All right. All right. She's now 38 pounds. She's almost equal to a 40-pound bag of rock salt. And she is a English cream golden retriever. So she's white with hints of cream, and she's going to stay pretty much like that. So the newest addition. Her name is Miss Savannah from Alabama because I picked her up on a farm in Alabama. And so she's the latest in our grouping of puppies. So I guess I'll send them back and we get down to some real questions.
Sure. You want me to do
Unless
it?
somebody wants to hold her. She's a little heavy. There you go.
Ready?
Okay.
Touch. Paula? Paula's like, oh my God.
So if you would like more recipes and interesting stories about Emery Thompson machine, Christy has written a book. And it's called Making Sweet Success Since 1905. There's 111 different recipes in here, all broken down by the size of machines that we manufacture. So from the very largest to the smallest, to make it easy on you. The stories are ones that of some of the history of Emery Thompson. We go back 121 years, and so there's always been some interesting and fun things that have happened to us in the South Bronx. And that's available by just calling us at our factory, 718-588-7300, and you can pick this up. Christy wrote that. And I'm trying to convince her to write a second one now, all about boozy ice cream. So maybe you'll see that sometime in late winter or early spring.
He does this to me all the time. He just gives a deadline.
I was going to say Christmas. I didn't want you to drop dead on the floor. It looks bad for business. Maybe the boozy ice cream got to you.
Yeah.
So definitely you want to check this out. I mean, it's not one of these home recipe ones where it says break 64 egg yolks.
Yeah, no.
Actually, it says break 2 egg yolks, but when you translate it up to the size of the machines, you're breaking 64 egg yolks. This is real practical stuff. You can run an entire ice cream parlor on just this book alone.
Yeah,
So,
it's great starting points.
And this is the author.
It's a great starting point for, we talked about your flavors, what you like. You can write on the pages, so it just gives you a great base to get started. You don't like something, you can always substitute it for whatever. It's definitely a help to get a lot of people open.
So, first question, Butterfat content.
Yours.
The federal government says that if you want to call this product ice cream, it must be 10% fat in it. And by fat, they mean milk fat, not fat from beef or anything like that, but just in the milk. To give you an example of where 10% is, whole milk is 4% fat, and you know what that tastes like. Low-fat milk is 2% fat, half of whole milk. And you know there's a world of difference between whole milk and low-fat milk as far as taste, but it only went up 2%. So when we talk about 10% as the federal minimum for ice cream, that's way above soft ice cream. It's way above gelato. That's why hard ice cream tastes better. And then it goes up in increments of 2. There's 10, 12, 14, 16. Once in a while, you'll find an 18. I once ran 22% fat for the chairman of the board of Godiva Chocolate, and I think it was 22 or 24%. It was so high that everybody in the factory, including the stray cat in the building, were sick within an hour because the body couldn't digest all that fat. So the point of the story is we come down here to Florida. Typically in New York, we're going to run a 14 or a 16%. Wealthy communities, cold winters, people are used to the higher fat, very super smooth, creamy ice cream. Almost too smooth. Kind of like eating a potato chip without, any chip to it or any ridges. Just bland, a cooked potato. So it can go too far. When Godiva said they wanted to do 22%, yeah, I'll do it. I'd like your business, but this is going to be an awful product. So up in New York, we're running 12, 14, 16. Different parts of the country. Wisconsin is supposed to be the dairy capital of the world, and I think they're usually 14%. We come down to Florida, and everything's 10%, or they're not selling ice cream very well at all. You had a lot of us Northerners come down. We take our northern ways of, hey, we're used to selling 16%, and they open and they close just that quickly. And I studied it for a couple of years and finally realized it was the same as Paul and I going out to Ruth Chris Steakhouse at lunch in the summer and sitting down and eating a tomahawk steak. Well, I don't know if I would eat a tomahawk, but certainly a filet mignon, wasn't this big. And you eat that, high fat, and then you step out into that 90-degree temperature with 100% humidity, and you faint, or you start sweating, you feel dizzy because it's so much fat in your system that your system can't stand it. As I tell people about ice cream parlors who want to run 16% in Florida, it's really bad to have your customers dropping dead in the parking lot. It doesn't look good for your business. So we said, why don't we drop it down to the federal minimum, which is what Baskin-Robbins did, my father told me back in the 1950s. Absolutely junk. 10%, really low, considered junk by the industry. But they put a ton of flavor in it. When you ate a mint chip Baskin-Robbins, it was really minty. So we did the same thing. We're not going to call it junk. We're just going to say we're doing the federal minimum of fat content and adding so much flavor that there is no question what this is. I had mentioned earlier, if I hand you a pale pink ice cream and you say, great, what is it? I just failed as an ice cream maker because you can't tell it's red raspberry. So when people call up Christy and me and say, what fat content should I run? Our next question is, where are you in the country? And so if you're in Northern California, we're probably going to say, yeah, do a nice 14%. It'll go great. And if you're up in Milwaukee, maybe you're going to run a 14 or 16 just to try to keep warm. So it varies around the country, but in Florida, Texas, throughout the southern panhandle, I'm usually recommending 10%, which is saving some money, but I'm making up for it in quality with a lot of flavor. You can't go wrong with a lot of flavor.
You had a question, Jamie?
Yes. In your dipping cabinets, do you have to have different temperatures if you're keeping ice cream or Italian ice or the gelato?
So she asked, do you have to have your different products in different cabinets, like your ices, your gelato, and your ice creams? Yes, you do. Your Italian ices are going to scoop a lot warmer than your ice creams. So ice creams scoop around 6 degrees. Italian ices scoop around 16. When it's high in sugar or the alcohol that we just made, the gelato, that's around 14-ish degrees. And we added alcohol, so it's going to scoop a little bit softer. Some dipping cabinets have different ranges where you can make them go, separated. It's one dipping cabinet, but there's a wall partition in there where you can just do one cabinet, but 2 partitions, and then you could do it that way. You could do your basic flavors and just a chest freezer, because everybody knows what strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate looks like. Don't waste your dipping cabinet space if that's what you're choosing to have for those flavors. Everybody knows what vanilla and all that looks like. So save that for your chest freezer on a dipping cabinet. You can also do that for your Italian ice flavors. Jeff doesn't do any dipping cabinets at all, and I'm kind of partial on that. I say I'm going to look at all your flavors, but you know what? I'm still going to order the vanilla. I'm still going to stare at everything, but I'm still going to order the vanilla. Everybody will typically stick with what they are used to. It's kind of odd somebody's going to just randomly try something different. So I think using a chest freezer to start out is very cost effective and will do you just fine without having to worry about a dipping cabinet for people to see. Samples. I have been a victim of samples. I am against samples. I used to be for it until it happened to me. I was at an event and I was in line waiting for one of our customers. It was a food truck event. They had a food truck. I was standing in line. It was behind a very cute couple that had a little toddler in a stroller, and they wanted a sample. So she goes, okay, and line's building up behind me, guys. And she goes, okay, and she gives them a sample. The husband takes a bite of it. She takes a bite of it. They look at each other. And then they look at the thing. Can I have that? Can I try that one? So she did this 3 times. And the both of them stood there and tried each bite, shared it. And then you know what they ordered?
Cheers.
1 cup with 2 scoops, but 2 different flavors of those 2 scoops. And she allowed it. And this guy behind me was getting frustrated. He's peeking out. He's like, what's going on? It was taking forever. And I'm just, all right. So I used to be for samples. If you do, maybe limit it to just 1. That's just my advice. People do get frustrated waiting. They're going to say I stood in line for 30 minutes when in reality it was 1.5 minutes. But, people are vengeance. They'll get on social media, Google reviews, and they'll slam you where they can. So just my advice on that.
Wait till you get my sister and brother-in-law coming into your store. They're both older than dirt. And they try 3 or 4 flavors, and then they walk out because they're full.
Yeah.
And they didn't buy anything.
Yeah. It's a thing. I always, when people ask me that question, I used to say I think it's a preference on what you feel is comfortable for your area, because not every location is the same. So I think it's a loaded and open-ended question depending on where you're at. But after experiencing that myself, I knew exactly what Jeff was saying. I didn't look behind me, but who knows how many people left. And they were not quick on trying those samples. And I was kind of shocked she was allowing that too, that many, and taking that time on just one customer who wound up ordering a small with 2 scoops and asked for 2 scoops of 2 different flavors. Are they going to come back? No, it was a food truck event, in and out. In and out. Get your stuff and get out.
And if we had had this conversation a year ago, something else has changed in it. And that is, in 2020, we all know we had the COVID going on. Mm-hmm. Well, COVID so spooked people, and the COVID isn't gone. It's just, gone down to where it's a serious cold. But nowadays, if you've got a line of people and they're doing all this tasting, and there's someone 3 people ahead of me who sneezes, I'll bet you I'm getting off the line, because I'm afraid of getting whatever they've got. Because I'm sitting here, instead of in and out in under 5 minutes, I'm here for 8 minutes or 12 minutes. I'm just going to walk away. And that is a real concern. You've got to keep that line moving. Otherwise, you're going to spook your customers. They're going to leave.
Well, I grew up licking elevator buttons, so I really don't get sick.
Why would you lick?
It's a theory. I'm just saying, I ate plenty of dirt when I was a kid.
Gee, so do my dogs.
Any questions? You got to have questions, yes.
So with serving, because like we serve out of a concession trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a problem with our Italian ice melting too fast. Is there a certain cooler we need?
What are you keeping it in?
A chest freezer.
And what's that chest freezer set at? Is it a plugged in?
Yes.
Okay, what's it set at?
As long as we can get it, because as we're going in and out, it's heating up.
Okay, are you making it or buying it?
Buying.
Okay, Christy alluded to it before. Your chest freezer is like this table. It's surrounded by coils of refrigeration. That's the source of cold. And so it would seem that if the box is set at 16, all the tubs are at 16, but they're not. Most of them are at the temperature that you set it at, except for right here in this corner, and this corner, and those 2 corners. They're colder because the refrigeration goes here and here. So this tub is getting more refrigeration than that tub over there. You go into an ice cream parlor and you see the server easily scooping one product and then struggling with the other. They don't know this trick. The trick is to put your high sugar content products. Like lemon ice is going to be actually your lowest sugar content. Strawberry or cherry is going to be high sugar content because of the sugar and the cherries. Put it in the four corners and see if it doesn't do better to scoop. And then your lower sugar content ones everything should scoop at the same temperature.
How many are you stacking in your chest freezer?
It depends on the event. I can get, what, 16 in there? Double stacking?
So you can buy like a thin foam insulated sheet at like Home Depot or Lowe's. I would suggest going and buying a sheet of that, cutting it to the size of the inside of your chest freezer, and put that on top of your bottom stack because heat rises. Mm-hmm. So as you keep constantly opening and closing that door, you're letting cold air out and hot air in. So that's going to contribute to your melting. By putting that insulated foam sheet as a barrier between your top tubs and your bottom tubs, that'll help keep your bottom tubs nice and fresh until you're ready to swap it out.
And unless it's your sister, don't just fire the person who's leaving the lid open.
Yeah.
And if it's yourself, shame on you. Oh, it's you. Okay, well, we just solved your problem. You're leaving the lid open all day because it's too much effort to close it.
I've seen photos even, I mean, that's getting a little fancy, but it's the same foam sheet on top where they just lay it on top and then just cut a circle hole to where the tubs are sitting. So you just take the lid off. So it's like its own insulated sheet sitting on top. So every time you open and close it, cold air is still staying trapped underneath it.
I have seen truck owners where the scooper is winning one-arm weightlifting contests in the Olympics because they grab the lid and close it.
Yeah. There's a lot of trials and errors that you're going to learn, discover when you get into this business. Don't be afraid. It's a lot easier than you think. There's a lot of community support out there. There is a Facebook group called Ice Cream Shop Professionals. They are all predominantly Emery Thompson owners. They are an awesome group where you can go, and I myself have even joined it and just listened, read posts, read comments. People like you guys will go in there and just hop and ask a question. You know, ice cream community is probably one of the biggest supportive communities I have known, and I've been around quite a bit of them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go strong. There's been topics of what do you do in the winter cold months, you know, that you can do for your ones that are seasonal or where it's super cold, that you can do to suffice your income, or what can you do to help bring up sales. Believe it or not, the cold regions sell more ice cream than the hot regions do. So up north in Colorado and Minnesota and Michigan and Canada, they sell way more dairy than we ever do. That's why Wisconsin's cheese, you know, it's dairy. All the dairy cows are up. Jersey cows where it's cold. You know, there's things that you can dabble into, coffee, you can do baked goods, but don't start doing, like Steve says, hot dog, because then you're going to have hot dog flavored ice cream and it's disgusting. And then people lose who you are if you're an ice cream store, or are you a pizza shop, or are you a pretzel place, or are you a bakery? I think, like we talked about, the communities, pairing up with your communities, the local bakery. You can make ice cream with the local bakery's brownies and then maybe collaborate with them and put a freezer in their store to where you can sell your pints to go. That's probably your biggest profits is pints.
Pint sales are amazing. That came around because of COVID, because the stores were closed and the only person who could go in was the owner. So I wrote some articles and we were both convincing people, yeah, you, the owner, can go in and you can make and fill pints. You can even fill them right at the machine, freeze them rock hard, and then hire someone younger than me who understands social media and to do your social media for you and advertise that you're open to run pints of ice cream out to people's cars. So they order the pints, they call in when they're in the parking lot or text in, and the owner, at the worst of it, would run out and bring out the pints frozen to about 10 below so they can drive a half hour, they're not going to melt, and we're getting anywhere from $8 to $12 a pint. So that's now translated into an ice cream parlor where Paula calls me up and says, we've got the Thompsons coming for dinner tonight. Will you stop at the supermarket and pick up a couple of pints of ice cream for dessert? Well, I can't. I'm going to have to, because I've got my 2 golden retrievers with me, and it's 100 degrees out. I can't leave them in the car. I can't leave the air conditioning on. Both the car and the dogs are going to get stolen. And I'm going to be probably 10, 15 minutes in the supermarket. But your store has a little freezer like that one back there. That was about a $200 chest freezer from Walmart. And I just turn it all the way cold. I fill it with pints. And now I have a sign in my store, if I had a store, that says take out pints. I pull up in my SUV, the Goldens are in the back of the car, the engine's running. I run out, I open up the lid, I rummage through, I find my mint chip for me, the coconut for Paula, and now the fun begins. There's nobody there, just a sign that says take out pints. The server over here is working a line, and the server says, excuse me 1 second, runs over to me, says, and the server says, you want a receipt? No. You want a bag? No. Slide your card. I slide my card. I'm back in the car. My job, men don't like to do jobs like that, especially not on the way home after a day of work. My job's done. I'm bringing home the ice cream. Now, 10 years ago, the next person in line who was getting ice cream, and I interrupted the flow, would have said, did you see that bum? He came in here, and he got 2 pints, and he cut in front of me. Nowadays, they say, wow, did you see that guy? Look, he's got his SUV out there with the 2 Goldens. Hey, puppies. And he just ran in and grabbed those 2 pints. He was out of here in 45 seconds. I could do that next Tuesday when the Thompsons are coming for dinner. And it's such an easy sale. Also, the owner of the store this week makes acai berry sorbet. So I came in and I bought an ice cream, and I've got, the kids and my wife and all that stuff, if I had kids and of that age. And we're all buying and we're checking out, and the checkout person says, hey, the boss just made acai sorbet. It's really good, and it's frozen down to 10 below so you can drive it home. Would you like one? And I'll go, yeah, why not? I know I'm going to be hungry by 9 o'clock tonight, and I've got something that just Paula and I can have. I upped the sale of pints, and I was taking out, and of course everybody's paying with plastic nowadays, so it wasn't real money. And I made a great sale, and the customer, got pints. I started talking to a restaurant in Palm Beach this past weekend, and I said, your server comes around at the end of the meal and says, would you like to see the dessert menu? And we always say, because we're ice cream people, we've got ice cream at home. We say, no, we're not hungry. We just ate a big fancy meal. No, thanks, we're not hungry. We'll take the check. If the server then said, we have 2 specials tonight. One is a coconut dairy-free, and the other is a mango ice cream. And they're frozen down rock solid, so you can, I know you only live a half hour from here, you can drive them home without them melting. Would you like me to bring them out in a bag and we'll just put it on your card? Oh, sure. I've already spent $90 on dinner for 2 of us. What's 2 more pints? And besides, it's not the cost, it's I want that ice cream. I know I'm going to be hungry at 9 o'clock tonight. And so I walk out of the restaurant. The restaurant just made $24 more. The hostess or host just got a bigger tip because the overall bill went from 90 to 110, 114, and so I'm going to pay the tax. I'm going to pay tip based on that. It's a win-win for everybody. So you don't have to go into a restaurant and say, you should have my ice cream and you should be scooping it and you need to hire someone to scoop it and you need to have cups and this. Just have it as a takeout item. And it's selling tremendously. And this is all ways of you doing more. Another thing I would do with that is you have the truck. And you probably have certain places that you go with the truck. Since the truck has the license, you technically could go to in front of an office building if your town will allow it. Instead of just selling whatever you're selling, also have takeout half pints. You can have the pints if you want, but also have half pints. Because I'm working in your I'm working in that office building. I'm working in a cubicle, and you come around 11:30, or maybe even you come at 10, it doesn't matter, or 1, it doesn't matter. Because I'm going to run down, instead of going to Starbucks to get a cup of coffee, I'm going to come down to your truck and I'm going to buy a half pint. It doesn't matter what my age or my sex or my weight. It's going to be, if I buy a half pint, I can eat that in my cubicle and everybody's going to be jealous as can be. If I buy a whole pint, oh, look at Steve, he's eating a whole pint. What a glutton he is. I mean, Steve could be 98 pounds. He's still a glutton. He's eating a whole pint. But the half pint, and if I'm charging $10 for a pint, I'm charging $6 for a half pint. You can get away with it. Because I'm going to eat either that whole half pint or I'm going to eat some of it now and I'm going to put it in the office freezer and, put Steve's do not touch under penalty of death, and I'm going to pull it out at 3 o'clock again and everybody's going to get jealous all over again. So instead of Starbucks getting the business for a lousy croissant and a burned cup of coffee, they could be buying your ice cream. And it would be another way to just promote. These pints are going to be the biggest business, and when you also add in dairy-free, it's going to be even larger. It's incredible what you'll do with pints.
Another great device, too, for the industry is the Inkbird over there, and that's what's over there next to you?
Yes.
Yes. You go ahead and talk about it. That's another one of Steve's shticks. But it's a great device to talk about, so.
Jeff talks about we're talking about hardening cabinets now. Jeff talks about using a chest freezer from Home Depot, Lowe's, or Sears to harden the ice cream. Remember, we say we're taking the ice cream out of here and then we're putting it in a very cold freezer. A $900 big chest freezer like your lunch is on over there on the other side of the room, that has 3 layers of it that we could put in. It's just one big box, but we could put in a bottom layer of 3-gallon tubs today and fill the whole bottom, and it will harden that ice cream. If I put a second layer in today, the box can't handle it, and it's going to warm up to above freezing, and I'm going to lose everything. But I can freeze 1 layer today. I can make another batch tomorrow and freeze it. And the third day I can make a batch and freeze it. And it acts as my hardening cabinet, which is good. It only costs $900. This thing is the hardening cabinet that we're selling that's made in the USA, and it's made by Cappigiani, my frenemy, and we sell probably more of them than they do. That is 10 times more expensive. So you're just starting out a store, you've got 900 square feet, you're 28 years old, you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of credit. We're going to put you into business for an equipment costs and electric and all that for about $42,000, which is really good compared to we used to be doing, $200,000 stores. And at 750 to 900 square feet, your rent's going to be a whole lot less. You're also going to have less flavors because there just isn't room for it. Plain, flat out in room. So you start out with the the hardening of the chest freezer for $900, and it's doing that work for you. Now your business grows, and you say, these chest freezers just aren't cutting it. I need something bigger, so I go to the hardening cabinet, and that's going to do it so fast and so cold and so much bigger that you'll never run out of ice cream or ices. So now I've got this leftover chest freezer, and I'm thinking of putting it on a truck or putting it out in front and sell Italian ice. But Italian ice, as Christy said, ice cream's 6 degrees, Italian ice is 16 degrees. This box doesn't go to 16 degrees. It only goes to 10 at the most. My ices are always going to be rock solid. Along comes a customer who finds this thing called, it's 2 odd words mixed together that mean nothing. Ink as in a pen and bird as in tweet tweet. Ink bird. You buy it on Amazon. It's about $34. Maybe it's $36 now. They have fancier versions. Don't be like me. If it's fancier, I'm buying it. Then I can't figure out how to run it.
Very true.
Buy the cheap. I had to call Christy on a Sunday evening at 8:30. Christy, I can't get my computer to go on. Try plugging it in, Steve. This thing is really clever because remember, that box is only going to go to 10 degrees. I need 16 degrees. I need it warmer. So what this thing is like your Christmas lights that you put up on your front porch at Christmas time. you string the lights, and then you don't just plug it in to the wall. You plug it into a timer, which is going to turn the lights on at sunset and turn them off at, I don't know, 1 in the morning, whatever you want, or sunrise. It's nothing more than a timer. This is the same idea. Instead of plugging in the Christmas lights into this timer, we're going to plug the chest freezer in here. And plug it in here, and we're going to take this thermostat bulb and just drop it into the chest freezer, and now it's reading the temperature. So when I plug this into the wall and this turns on, I haven't said anything yet. That chest freezer's at 70 degrees right now, heading down to -9. I don't want -9, I want +16. So I punch in +16 on this. The temperature's at 70, it's going to 60, 50, 40, 30, it gets to 16, and magically all it does is turn off the power. No power, no cold. When the box goes up to 17 degrees, this measures it, and it turns the power back on. It's just an on-off switch with a thermostat. So it's $34 instead of spending $4,000 for a specialty-made box or a box where you've changed the thermostat. So you can buy any old cheap box, even that thing there that's 9 below, and turn it into an Italian ice cabinet or a gelato cabinet or anything you want. So just something to keep in mind, and when you forget the name, call me, and Christy and I will tell you that it's called Inkbird.
Yep, and another thing too to talk about is it's everybody's worst nightmare. It's losing your product in your chest freezer, hardening cabinet, whatever you have. So there's another device. It's called a temp stick. It's about $140. You could buy multiples of them, and it's an app that you download. It's a little stick that you stick in whatever you have, your dipping cabinet, your hardening cabinet, whichever, and then you set it at a certain temperature, and once it gets below that, like say you need your hardening cabinet at 10 below zero, let's say it gets to 0 degrees. You can have it text you, email you, call you, whichever. You can have, I think, up to multiple people on there to alert you, to let you know, hey, something's going on with your hardening cabinet or whichever you put that device in. So you're not coming into work the next day and you had lost power at your shop overnight because somebody hit a telephone pole and now you just lost all your product for the day. I mean, if you're a heavy sleeper like my husband, where you need a train horn in his ear, then it's probably not going to work for you. I would suggest someone else. But that way it can wake you up and alert you in the middle of the night if that happens, or just even during the day while you're on vacation. One of your employees left the door open by accident or something, and you can say, call them up, hey, this is reading off a different temperature. Can you check into that? So just investing in little things like that can be a lifesaver down in the long run, and you don't lose product, don't lose sales. Things like that. Any other questions? Yeah. Ooh.
Go ahead. Who?
Yes.
Citric acid.
Citric acid. So Steve is more familiar with that than I am, but what I know
Just because it's used to cut crack cocaine doesn't mean I'm familiar with it.
It's great for like lemon ice and stuff, but it can also leave like a burning sensation on your tongue. It's also a preservative. To me, I wouldn't use it if you don't need to. Lemon juice works just as fine. Unless you're needing a preservative, then I would reach out and you get a stabilizer for that before citric acid.
You've got a product that you're making for 8 cents, and you're selling it for $3. And instead of using more lemon juice, you're using a chemical called citric acid. Mm-hmm. These Italian ice people drive me nuts because I put them into business. They make so much money that they take January and February off. There's your problem with the winter. And they're on their private island in the Caribbean. And they say, how you doing? Oh, we get by. Or we're doing okay. You don't ever want to use citric acid. That is so 1960. It's unbelievable because it's just a cheap way of making a cheap product even cheaper. Mm-hmm. Just splurge for the cane sugar, splurge for the natural flavors, and if you need something tart, squeeze some lemons. Don't buy the bottles of lemon juice. They're real, R-E-A-L brand, and they're in a green bottle. It's real, reconstituted lemon juice. Let's try to say that 3 times. And it's just awful. Don't ever sell a cheap product. I once got yelled at by my boss because I worked for a total of 3 fire companies, and the fire company I was working with at the time, they asked me to bring ice cream, and I said, okay, I'm going to make a cheap ice cream and bring it to the Fireman's Festival and give it out for free. He said, if you're going to volunteer to give a product to anybody, or anybody you're going to sell a product to, sell your very best or give your very best, or don't do it at all, because your reputation is going to stand and fall on what you give them. So if someone comes along and says, oh no, I can get you these pecans for half the price of another company, you know, find out why they're half price. You know, have they been sprayed with something that's going to keep them fresh for, you know, 10 years, and so they can use a cheaper pecan? I don't know, I'm just making it up, but keep your quality up. You can always raise your price, and you're going to be rewarded with long lines of people. You're not going to believe the money that you're going to make in this business. A man called me the other day. I was just thrilled to hear from him, and everybody. No offense, but with over 40,000 customers, when Fred calls, "Hey Steve, it's Fred. How you doing?" And I go, "Great, Fred. How you been? How's business?" I know 47 Freds, and finally I figure out who he is, and I put him into business a year and a half ago, and he's now got 9 push carts, 2 trucks, and 3 stores selling Italian ice. He started with a push cart. It is that profitable. You've got a product that you want, and you're in a fun business. You're not Dow Chemical making napalm. You're selling a happy product. You're going to make a lot of money.
What do they say if you're chinsing on the vanilla?
Yeah, if you're as I said earlier, if you're chinsing on the vanilla, you're cheating on the rest of the flavors.
Yeah.
You know, so don't chintz on the vanilla.
What was your question?
Couple, I guess. On your dipping cabinets and then your freezers, we used to work at Baskin Robbins. That's where we met. And it was
cool.
Once a month thing that we basically turned them off, defrosted them, clean. Is that the recommendation?
Still the same thing. 1/8 of an inch, you're losing about 15% of the efficiency. I learned that from Swenson ice cream parlors on the West Coast years ago. Yeah, keep those things defrosted.
Okay, and chest freezers too. What you're storing is
anything that has what they call cold wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this wall here is the source of cold. In the Italian cabinets, which are 5 times the price, they're using blowers.
Okay.
But as I like to say about the Italian equipment, at the end of the day, a gelateria in Italy, the stores are closed, he's off the clock, he's cleaning the cabinets and the counters and everything else and being very nice. Then the American is on the clock, he's got an American-made dipping cabinet, and when that bell goes off to go home, he picks up a monkey wrench and throws it at the cabinet and says, "You better damn well work tomorrow," and walks out the door. So we build them rugged, solid, and inexpensive. I don't build dipping cabinets, but the American mades like the Masterbuilt and the Kelvinators and the C. Nelson, my favorite, are just, they're going to go 20 years. There's a cabinet in the back there. It's now 25 years old, made by Nelson, and I haven't even cleaned the condenser.
Yeah, it still works. I've used it. I really like it.
Yeah. Who else before we break for lunch?
So an average cost of a gallon of just classic vanilla ice cream we made before, what do you think it cost us?
Like $8.
$8.
Yep. And then there's, it's by liquid volume. So if you're doing a 3-gallon tub, there's 128 ounces in a gallon. So that's 396 ounces. So then you would divide that by however many ounce scoops you want to serve. So say like 4 ounces, and then that's 50, 60 servings you can get. And then 50, 60 servings times whatever you want to sell it for, $4, whatever, times that. So you're looking at $300-something off one 3-gallon tub, and it costs you $8 to make.
And your cost is probably a lot lower because you've got far better resources than I do. This gentleman sells more pastrami sandwiches in America than anyone else.
How long does it last in your deep freeze? How long can ice cream sit in there?
It can go for probably a couple of months or so, as long as it's really, really, really cold. As Steve said before, cold is your best natural preservative. Some people put like air is ice cream's worst enemy. Some people put like a parchment paper on top because even though it's full to the top and you have a lid, that lid's not a solid seal. So some people do a parchment paper on top. Now, if it can stay in there for quite a long time. Some people probably go longer than they should. But if it's in there for that long of a time, once again, don't make it anymore. There's no need to even make ice cream to last you that long.
Nobody wants it.
Yeah, there's no reason to even have it in there for months like that. Another trick too is, I don't have one, but I'll just talk about it. So when you work with pints and pint sales, and to eliminate working with parchment paper if you don't want to do that, or buying a lid sealer for a pint, you don't need any of that. Did you go about upside down?
No.
No. So you take your pint and you just freeze it upside down. So once you have filled your pint of ice cream, take it and freeze it upside down in your freezer. Have you ever been and gotten a pint of Haagen-Dazs and you peel it back and that lid is stuck to that pretty ice cream, or Ben & Jerry's? Well, that's their trick. They just freeze it upside down. You should see their huge manufacturing facility because the ice cream is sticking to that lid. It's creating its own natural seal where no air can get in there. And then you've got the most prettiest ice cream you've ever seen peeling that lid off of it.
I think the hardest thing in the frozen dessert business, and then we're going to break for lunch, the hardest thing in the frozen dessert business is don't fall in love with your own product, ever. Because
I
it's
like my bourbon.
Oh, well, that's
Okay.
different. That's different. It's got your name on it.
Yes. No touching.
By that, I mean two things. One is don't sell flavors that you absolutely love, but it's not moving. If it's not moving, nobody else loves it like you do. Nobody wants my banana coffee ice cream. So don't sell something that you love and should be selling, but it's not selling. If it's not flying out the door, get another flavor. You only have so many spaces, and you're wasting a space because you love that flavor and nobody agrees with you. And the other is, this is a little more hard to say, but that's probably a 1 ounce portion. So by the time this class is finished today, multiply it by, let's say 150 days. And we will have made 5 different products. Normally when you make ice cream, you're probably going to make 20 different batches in a day. And you go and you take a taste of each one to make sure it's correct. And at the end of the day, did you mean to eat 20 ounces of ice cream today and do it day in and day out?
Yeah.
Watch it. Your cardiologist is not going to be happy with you, because don't keep tasting your own product. You know what it tastes like. You followed your recipe. Leave it alone.
Is that why you gave me the machine at my house to do it at mine? So I'm the one that's at the cost of expense? Thanks.
Works.
Yeah, I sold the ones in the back when I was trying to suck through. I was like, I was skinnier when I started, guys. I promise.
That's what everybody says about every time.
Yeah. There is a push cart company, and it's called Unique Vending Carts. They're also in your little booklet there that you have. So there's various ways that you can go. Dry ice, it's kind of hard to find. It's not always locally available. So you can get custom push carts that have massive cold plates that you can freeze. I've heard those work very well. You can also buy a push cart that has like its own compressor in it that keeps itself cold. So as long as you've got like a 110 outlet somewhere, you could plug it in anywhere, run an extension cord. So I think cold plates would probably work the best. That would be your easiest solution too, just as long as you got a freezer of some sort that you can get them, that's big enough to put those big old cold plates in there to keep them frozen. But they work great. I think keeping a gauge in there to make sure your temperature is staying right, buying those foam sheets that we talked about, keeping them insulated on the bottom versus your top would help a lot tremendously too. Any other things before we get started on the next flavor? Yes.
I have a question about the machine and grease traps.
Oh,
And
I'm the grease trap person.
There you go.
I'm the expert on the grease traps. Health department's going fads. One picks up on some idea and they all run with it. So that's all I'm hearing about is grease traps. You know, one year it might be tile floors, another it's a kill switch on the wall. This next year or so it's grease traps. You have to understand the health department. They are terribly bureaucratic and mostly wrong, and you have to live with them. You know, the good old days, my father used to say, well, hey, Dad, the health department's here. He'd say, fine, give him $20 or throw him in the dumpster, I don't care. And I said, Dad, you can't do it. This is the 1970s. And he'd say, fine, give him $50 or throw him in the dumpster, I don't care. You can't throw him in the dumpster, or at least shouldn't. So they're talking about, they've got a checklist of things. Lights that are shielded so that in case a bulb breaks. Sanitary walls, sanitary floors, check, check, check. And the latest one is the grease trap. Their idea of a grease trap, they look at McDonald's. They're lazy. They say, okay, McDonald's spends millions of dollars doing a store. Their people are experts. We'll just feed off of them. So they've got a $30,000 grease trap because McDonald's is dumping a 55-gallon drum, theoretically, down that grease trap. Being a New Yorker, I challenged them, and I said, you know, it's not a good idea to start in a conversation with an inspector with, hey, pal. You know, so I'm going, hey, pal, if I'm dumping any grease down that drain, that's ice cream. That's my profits. Nothing going down that drain. And if it is, it doesn't equal a glass of milk. That doesn't check off the box for them. So they're not happy with that, and so I had to change my story. And so I said, okay, you want a grease trap? I'll get you a grease trap. You call up, or you go to Amazon, and you order a $230 grease trap, and you have your plumber install it into the line. You know, 300 at the most, 400, you know, don't worry about the volume of it because they're just going to look at it, checkbox. Okay, and that's it. They've just checked it off. And now you move on to the next problem. We want a $30 million tile floor. Well, gee, my floor right now is cement in your new store. How about I do the Rust-Oleum two-stage epoxy like old people in Florida do? They paint their garages bright red or bright green on the floor, and then they sit out there with a 90-inch color TV in the night. You know, it makes no sense. I hope not to turn into that. But the idea of the floor is good because it's you could buy it for like $85 at Home Depot, and you put down the color coat, whatever you want, and then it has a clear sealer, and you seal it, and it'll do a better job than this floor, and than a tile floor, a dairy tile floor. So things like that, I tell people when we're dealing with the health inspector, go sit down with them, tell them what you want to do, write down all their ideas, write down everything they say, and then come back to Christy or me and just say, well, he wants this or she wants that. Well, here's an alternative of what you can do. And you keep a diary. And then I call him Phil the inspector. So you go back to Phil and say, I know you wanted this $1 million floor, but could I do the two-stage epoxy? Yeah, that's fine. And you write down the date that it happened. And then you go ahead and do the floor. And then on the day of your final inspection, his boss comes. His boss taught him. So the boss goes, what's with this floor? Oh, Phil approved it on August 8th. Oh, well, if my inspector who I taught approved it, I'm not going to go against him, so that's fine. And so you've protected yourself all the way around. If you really want to protect yourself and you have, you know, interesting oddball questions, we're in Brooksville, of course. Instead of calling Tampa, which would be my closest health department, I'm going to call Tallahassee. It's nowhere near me. I can ask the same questions, I can get the same answers, but I'm not going to have the guy from Tampa walking into my store. Aren't you the guy who called me about that floor? No, I don't know what you're talking about, because he's going to remember. You went above him. So call a health department. It's all one state. Call a health department in your state that's not in your area to get your tough questions. Yes?
What about I got a quote from the guys from Right Temp for the glycol or
the glycol chiller.
The glycol chiller,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't committed to doing it yet. Say $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on having it or not having it?
I wouldn't do it. The glycol, what you're talking about is this one's air cooled. It's not going to upset your room all that much with heat. This one, an air cooled, could take this room up 10 degrees in the time that we're here. That's fossil fuel. That's air conditioning. That's expensive electricity. If I buy it water cooled because I'm on city sewer, yeah, it's going to use some water, but my water bill is controlled by the local town. And if they raise my water bill, they raise all the homeowners' water bill. So water bills only go up pennies a year. They don't go up very much. And as long as you're running one machine, maybe two machines, you're just not using much water at all. It's only using water when Christy turns on that switch. And when Christy turns that switch off, there goes the water. So I say a half gallon of water a minute, maybe it's 3/4 of a gallon, but it's only for 8 minutes. It's not much water compared to what the air conditioning fossil fuel would cost to get this heat out of the room. So unless you get up to the big 44-quart machines or you're running 5 or 6 of these, 2 of them, I would not go to a water recirculating system. There's a system you can buy, that's what he's talking about. It looks like an air conditioning unit outside, and it's still a water-cooled machine, but it's pumping in antifreeze, cooling the machine. The machine heats up the antifreeze, sends it back out. It's what you call a closed loop of we're going to cool the antifreeze and send the hot back, and they're $8,000. You don't need to spend the money for 1 or 2 machines. I wouldn't do it.
Typically, people that invest in those have septic tanks. They are remote islands, in the Caribbean, places like that, way up a mountain where water is kind of hard to get to. Super cold regions like Alaska, places like that would go with a glycol chilling system to recirculate, or water-strict cities where they monitor that, or an air-cooled machine. But typically, 90% of the people just run the water to run it. It's clean water. It just goes in to kill the machine down in the compressor and just comes right back out. We run it into a 3-bay sink here. I'm using a spatula, aren't I? Into the 3-bay sink here. Some people run it to a floor drain, and some people run it out the back door, which you should not do. Who's ever listening to that? So.
I had a guy who you knew when he was making ice cream because he hooked up the water return line to his fountain out in front of his store. So if the fountain was going, he was making ice cream. There was another guy in New Jersey who, and we're supposed to be making ice cream.
Yes.
Here's the store. There's his home. In between is his water recovery system. He was pumping the water into his swimming pool. And so at the end of the day, he would put on his bathing suit, jump into his water recovery system and swim. And the IRS came and looked at it, and they said, as long as you don't put a diving board on that water recovery system, we'll let you write it off. So there's all sorts of strange things you can do.
Okay, so we're going to make Shirley Temple Italian Ice. This is also a flavor I have not made or developed yet, so we're going to do it together. It's kind of been my thing today since Jeff wasn't able to come, so I had to come up with some flavors. So far, so good. So we're going to use ginger ale and Sprite, and I had opened these yesterday to get flat. I have worked with sodas before. I have made a root beer Italian ice with just using root beer and sugar. It worked out really well. I did it 3 different ways. I did it with fresh soda, which I learned became a volcano in the machine because it started erupting out of it. And then I did it with flat soda, and then I also did it with like a concentrate. You know those like Soda Stream things where you make your own and then it comes with the concentrate? I've made it with that. The 2 that won the votes was the concentrate and the flat soda, believe it or not. So we don't have to use water. We can just go ahead and just use straight soda. And don't worry about, not making it foamy because we want it flat. I know what a Shirley Temple's supposed to taste like, so we're gonna see if we can recreate that. Okay. I don't think we're going to use all these cherries. Cherries are very powerful and very overwhelming, so we'll probably just add a little bit to it once we start the machine and taste it first before thinking about adding any more. See, this is what happened, especially when it was fresh soda. It started going all over the place. Yep. Champagne also does that too. Champagne and sugar, learn the hard way. And you can leave your soda flat, like open it for days. I did it, I think, for like a whole week, just left the soda open. And it worked good. I haven't tried it with any other soda but root beer, so this is my second attempt with the soda. And it works well, freezes well.
If you ever want to make a great champagne sorbet, just buy sparkling white wine. It'll cost you a lot less, and nobody's going to notice the quality difference between champagne and sorbet because it's being mixed with everything else. but it's a nice thing to make for parties.
Yeah, I made a pink lemonade, pink champagne lemonade is what I did, and I used Country Time pink lemonade. I used pink champagne, and then I had some pureed strawberries in there. Talk about really good Italian ice. Okay, so I think we're good on that. We're gonna add some lime juice that I had squeezed. What does it say? How much lime juice?
I don't have it.
All right, so we're going to add 2. Let's try that. I don't know, guys. How much grenadine?
6 to 8 ounces.
Let's try.
That's where a lot of your flavor's coming from. Is the grenadine.
Oops. Okay. All right. I know. I have to spirit Jeff in here. I'm just gonna give that some. All right. Anybody want to be a brave soul and try to pour this in there? Need a new volunteer?
Which machine?
Dustin wants to.
All right, come on, buddy.
Which machine?
CB350.
You can show us the stream.
So you saw someone very first time pour in a bladder of mix, had no issues. So remember, you're not going to put it on the throat of the machine.
Hold on. What's okay?
Very good.
See, he saw that the gate was open and he closed it.
Go ahead, go for it. I can't see, so. Very good.
Look at that. Perfect.
All right.
The whole thing?
Yep,
Yeah.
whole thing.
Higher.
All right. All right, so we're going to go touch, make ice cream. We're going to more recipes. We're going to Italian ice, and we're hitting start. Gonna let it spin for a little bit, see what happens.
If it all comes bubbling out.
I hope not. We're gonna find out real quick. All right. So this is normally what I do when I'm wanting to see if something's working out well or not. Let's see. It's like a Shirley Temple. What do you think?
It's
Needs something.
it's very sweet.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I see.
More lime juice.
Yeah, it's going through. Yeah, more lime juice.
Okay.
Yeah. The rest of it. Yeah, it's going through the roof here.
All right. Let's see. So we got more lime juice voted. Grenadine, cherries. It's a Shirley Temple. Yeah, here I go. All of it? That's
Yeah.
pretty tart.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of liquid in there.
Okay.
Are those pint containers proprietary to that brand?
Yes.
That's a good
But
thing, right?
but great story. They didn't make it proprietary enough. They went over to China. They had the great design. That's why we buy that ice cream when we first started years ago. It's great looking. But then all of a sudden it started showing up in Paula's Creams and Cosmetics. There would be the same container, half the size, and then there was one that was just that big with the lid on it because they agreed on the pint size and make it only exclusive for Talenti, but they didn't write the contract well enough to make it for any other sizes. They didn't protect the brown lid and the container. They protected the brown lid container of a pint. So other people started using it. Talk about fire your lawyer.
One extra ounce, you can do 1 extra ounce pint.
Yeah, fire your lawyer. Isn't that amazing? I mean, because it's a great container. I mean, we use them for everything.
Yeah, we just have to bank on Paula eating them.
Yeah. Paula loves the coconut.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the freeze on, and so we're just going to wait for this to freeze. We put soda in a machine, and we're freezing it. Literally, you cannot do that with any other batch freezer out there. It's just not even possible. Any questions on that? Yes.
Just missed that Well, you say that you do freeze? Only your batch freezer at the beginning part of it.
You're not going to find another batch freezer where you can put soda into it. They don't have the freezing capabilities. We wrap ours in copper tubing. We're the only ones that do that. Everybody else uses cheap aluminum. And they don't have the freezing capabilities that we do. So you can do sodas, you can do alcohol. Their dasher system can't even hold up to ours. You can check that off the Empire State Building. You're going to break the concrete before you break that thing. It's pure stainless steel, solid through and through.
And it's not the BTUs of the compressor or the BTUs of the output. It's the combination of that and the process by which we make that cylinder and get the heat transfer. We're getting an incredibly efficient heat transfer there. You can see part of the barrel. You can't see the thermomastic goo that goes on there to transfer it also. And then our scraping, we used, I don't have any of the old blades, we used metal blades that were thrown out against the walls by centrifugal force for 100 years. And they scraped well, but not nearly as good as Slade Harmon, our vice president. He invented this spring-loaded. So as they wear, as the blades wear, they're still pushing out against the wall. So whether a blade is 1 day old or 4 years and 11 months, it's still pushing at its same strength. That's amazing.
It's a beautiful piece of machine.
Yeah, it works very well.
Doing stuff like that anymore.
The only funky thing that we found from when we came up with that was in New York you can't have guns. In Florida, you know, it's 10 isn't enough.
Right.
You know, it's a hobby. It's not protection. It's a hobby. Well, if you store a pistol like a Glock with the clip in and the bullets are all compressed, you're eventually going to wear out the clip. Only Sig Sauer tells me I'll never wear out the clip, but every other gun you wear out the clip. So if you're seasonal and you leave the dasher in the machine compressed like that, it's as if you're making ice cream for the rest of the year, every single day, every single minute. So we tell people, and the health department says at the end of the day, take that dasher I passed around this morning, disassemble it. I put the springs in a cup. Now they're not wearing out. So we've can get even, we usually figure you should change them once a year and they're inexpensive. Now you can get longer than a year by just storing them properly. So it's a great design.
Yeah, we've progressed over the years with the blades. I'll come over there.
Oh, we do have the old ones over there.
Uh-oh. Lost a pin. So, thank you. So this...
That came first. That was all metal. And they wear, so the once a year you have to, no matter where you are in the world, you have to send them back to us for sharpening. We've gotten rid of that. None of these, Christy's going to show you how to do any sharpening.
Then we went from there, then we went to riveted, to where it was instead of all metal blades, then it went to the blade holder, what we call it, and then it has like this insert, but it's not removable. So they were all riveted in, as you can see here. So whenever you needed to change it out, you would just pop this off the end and send it to us. Then after that, instead of replacing this whole thing, then we progressed to an actual insert. So there's hundreds of thousands of customers that still have this one in use today. And so you take these pins and clips out, pull the insert out, you ship it into us. Back when we did the sharpening, and then you would order a new set, and then you get the new set, pop it in, put your pins and clips, and then voila, done.
With this blade, it was impossible. With all of these metal ones, it was impossible for me to invent the infinite overrun control, because if you slowed down the drive too much as this is spinning and it's coming into the upward cycle, it would fall back away from the barrel because it weighs so much. So it's scraping here, and then it falls away. With the spring-loaded that we've had since 2008, it's always under tension. Those blades are always under tension going around the barrel. So that's why we can do the alcohol, we can do all the other products, Italian ice better than anybody else, because it's all so incredibly heavy and solid. Okay.
It's getting slushy in there.
What's normally in a Shirley Temple?
That.
No, I mean, what's it replacing? What kind of drink?
A Shirley Temple is a Shirley Temple.
I
It's
thought it
just-
was a drink minus the alcohol.
Oh, that I don't know. I've just always known Shirley Temple.
What's
as
the
a Shirley.
replacement?
I think it is drink minus the alcohol.
What would it usually be if it had alcohol in it?
Because that, I think that's like what kids would get when they're like.
Yeah, you buy them a Shirley. I'm sorry?
When you would go to the bar with your dad back in the 60s,
Yeah,
your dad would get the impact out.
right, and you got the Shirley Temple. Yes, yeah.
What is it?
I was just trying to figure out if this didn't work out right, what alcohol could we pour in it?
Well, like I
What do we
said,
got?
I think bourbon. We
Bourbon.
have Grand Marnier. I don't know. We have a booze drawer. We should check that.
Do we have Grand Marnier?
We have Grand Marnier.
Where would that be?
That orange bottle,
Orange.
right there. It's in front with the orange top. Right here.
Okay.
Well, it's not the brand Grand Marnier,
Right.
but the same thing.
Quick formula. Years ago, I accidentally sent a machine. It was an attorney who bought a machine in Philadelphia, and so we sent the machine to her address. We thought it was the store. It wasn't. Her law firm was in the Philadelphia Stock Exchange. So the machine ends up on the brand new machine. Lady, your refrigerator's here, except it was a batch freezer and it was delivered to the floor of the Philadelphia Stock Exchange. So the lawyer calls up very angry, and lawyers can get really angry. And so to appease, I said I would come down from New York and I would make ice cream with you. And we, on that day, made up a flavor that is just so great for Christmas. If you're tired of sending Uncle Louie a tie, you give him a few pints of this ice cream. Very expensive to make. Where I grew up, everybody outside the Bronx, everybody was trying to outdo each other at Christmas parties. So one person would have a cake, beautiful cake made. Someone else made great hors d'oeuvres. We made ice cream and used Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is an orange liqueur. This is a fake Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is about $50 a bottle. It comes from France. Very distinct orange flavor. And as far as I'm concerned, this is garbage. There's no substitute for Grand Marnier. Kahlua, you can just buy another coffee liqueur, but Grand Marnier is unique to itself. So you take the orange liqueur and you take a dozen or so for this machine, navel oranges, and just grate off the zest. And you put the zest in the machine, pour in most of the bottle of Grand Marnier, and now you've got an ice cream that has the taste, the aroma of the orange liqueur, and it's pure white with little specks of orange in it for looks. So it's a fabulous Christmas ice cream. You'd have to sell it for about $80 or $90 for a tub in your store. But there's always going to be there's some family who's going to buy it just to outdo the Thompsons next door.
Yeah.
And so that's good enough reason.
I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
It just makes a wonderful, wonderful Christmas ice cream.
And I really like keeping your flavors like seasonal. Keep your customers engaged, wanting to come back. They know you make the best Grand Marnier ice cream for Christmas. To me, something that special, or this bourbon pecan, maybe save that for just through the September, October, November months, so they know, hey, they make the best. It's kind of like everybody with that hype about Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks with the pumpkin spice. Do the same thing. Even make wonky flavors like dill pickle Italian ice. Maybe make just one tub of it, but put a sign out. You know what? That's going to get me to go into your store like, they have dill pickle Italian ice. I'm not going to get it. Oh, I would that because I just know what it tastes like. But theory is they're going to come to your store just because they did, but they're going to still order that vanilla. They're still going to order that chocolate, but they came into the store for it. Go ahead.
I just found this. Dancy's, have you seen this?
Yeah, it's Jeff's.
I was going to say, it looks like it was a reject from Walmart.
I kept it. I didn't.
Just for the bottle.
It's
anyway.
Vanilla from Mexico for $2.
Yeah, for $2. Vanilla is very, very important to your ice cream. You're going to use it in a lot of things. Buy a great vanilla. I think there's only one, and it's a company called Lockhead. And this is on our website. Christy redesigned the whole new website. It's gorgeous. And Lockhead Vanilla is up there under key suppliers. They're a family business. and they just do vanillas. And this one is called Steve's Special Blend, named after me, flavor 103A. It's only named after me because I sell so much of it, and I don't even sell it. I just recommend it. But I only recommend things that are really going to be great and make you great ice cream. I don't take a dime from anyone because you can't be honest doing that. If suppliers are always paying you to, talk about their products, you're not giving them the best products. But vanilla is so important that this Lockheed Vanilla is really a great, great company.
I agree. I have had multiple of their flavors. I've even had their most expensive Madagascar vanilla. I have had their twofold. I've had their bourbon vanilla, and I'm going to tell you the 103A, it's not 100% natural, but it's...
Oh, it is all natural. It's just not pure.
Well, okay. So it's a very, very good product. And if you call and say, I want 103A, they'll know exactly where it comes from Steve. So I think we're going to go ahead and pull this. We're at 12 and a half minutes. So we're going to shut the freeze off. And it is a pretty pink. Look at that.
Color. Wow.
Who wouldn't want to scoop this in, in your tub? Or in your dipping cabinet. Can't talk today, can I? Isn't that pretty, guys?
That's gorgeous. All right, so taste it and see how the extra citric did.
I already did.
Lemon juice.
I did. Very good, guys. You can taste that carbonization from the soda.
Oh, that's much improved. That's good. That's great.
It's the lime.
It is the lime.
And then those cherries added to it just gave it that.
What happened to my
extra-
spoon? It's turning blue.
It's a color changing spoon. Sorry, what? It's cool, Steve. Just go with it. And it's super creamy too, so this is going to scoop great in your dipping cabinet. You can also rename anything to what you feel is great, a great name. Just because it's in the book, people have called and like, well, can I name it something else? Like, listen, it's your formula too. I mean, you change it to what you want. Even if you use the same formula, still rename it to what you like better.
Steve, what's the trick in getting your scoops to look like those up there?
A good photographer.
That's actually it's actually Play-Doh, believe it or not.
It's Play-Doh. Oh, you're breaking our hearts. It looks so ready to eat.
I've never seen those YouTube videos where like they fake the food, like the cheese.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I made a bunch of fake ice cream stuff. It's in the cabinet, and that was with cornstarch and hair conditioner. And it's faded now, but when they were first made, it's like spot on. And then a lot of people use mashed potatoes for photos because it doesn't melt and it scoops perfect.
If you use Butterfinger candy in your ice cream, can you call it Butterfinger, or is that not legal?
They're gonna, if anybody ever wanted to report you, which is a waste of time, then yes, theoretically it is illegal, but who's gonna do that? And if they do, just say, okay, change the name.
I only know of one company that did it, and the person who came up with this decision should have been fired 100 times over. And that was Nabisco, Oreo cookies. And it started in Jersey. There was a ice cream parlor of ours, Mike Flaherty, Mike's Ice Cream in Secaucus. He's on the Route 3 into the tunnel, and he did a huge business. Anyway, he started calling it Oreo cookie ice cream. Also, I think Malcolm Stogo, who writes a lot of books, has also made it first. Anyway, they're calling it Oreo cookie ice cream, and some low-level manager from Nabisco comes over and throws a cease and desist at them, saying, if you keep using our name, we're going to sue you for all you're worth. And it's Nabisco. They got a lot of worth. They're worth a lot of money. And so, out of fear, he stopped using it, and people called it cookies and cream. And it's always been called cookies and cream. But imagine how much money Nabisco could have made over all these years if they had just said, sure, go ahead and use our name, Oreo cookie, because that's what you think when you eat it. You don't think cookies and cream, you think Oreo cookie. And they're missing out on all the free advertising. Just a dumb management mistake. But most people, I think generally the rule is if you've got 5 or 10 stores, no one's going to bother you. If you're nationwide like Haagen-Dazs, no, you can't use their name without permission. But I recommend using it all the time because it's descriptive. I mean, how do you describe what the ice cream is if it's Butterfingers without saying Butterfingers?
But I think Butterfinger might be the hardest one.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would call it.
I don't know what you would.
Okay. So how's that one?
Delish.
Good.
That's a
good.
great one.
Good. Okay, let me go run this to Kendall.
Any questions so far? Nothing?
Sorry.
Yep.
This was good.
Is it just the ice cream, not the ice, or that when you freeze it, that it changes the taste?
In my opinion, it's just ice cream.
Just ice
I haven't seen any changes when you freeze it in dairy-free, certainly not Italian ice. Gelato, gelato would fall into the same range as ice cream. Anything that's dairy is going to be enhanced after it's
So
frozen.
to get the real taste, it needs to be frozen hard. And
Yeah.
Then you know what.
Then you know what you've got. Yeah, to judge it right out of the machine or even 3 hours later, you're not gonna get the full impact of the flavor.
Okay.
You know, it's not. I cooked up. I cooked some pork chops the other night on the grill, and they tell you afterwards, wait 5 minutes before you serve them, because the juices all have to stop cooking and settle in, and then that's the flavor. If you cut into it right away, bleeds out. I mean, the ice cream's not going to bleed out, but it's the same general idea. Sometimes you have to wait for it to be properly processed.
Steve, you got yelled at earlier for making 1 gallon or 2 gallons in the big machine. What is the minimum?
You can make a half batch in the large machine, so
So 6 quarts.
it can be
12 quarts.
it can be 12 quarts. It could even be 10 quarts. So you'd be putting in half that much mix. You'd be putting in 5 quarts of mix. But just like this did, as I got right to the end of the batch, it was only within seconds that I had come so close that I could start hearing it build up ice on the walls. Turned off the refrigeration, the blades cut through the ice and that went away. With a bigger batch, that doesn't happen.
Mike's ice cream is now called Uncle D's.
Who?
Mike's ice cream in Secaucus.
In Secaucus?
Is now called Uncle D's ice cream.
Oh, okay. Mike was an interesting guy. Mike was about 5'5" in all directions, and he's literally on the road to the Lincoln Tunnel, and you see this little old Carvel type store, and then you see these outbuildings that were freezers, and the average car is either stopped dead or going 100 miles an hour. There's no in between. And you looked at his business, how can he possibly be making any money? What is he doing? Why the outbuildings? It turns out that just down the road from him was the Jersey Turnpike and in Secaucus, and Hartz Mountain Corporation, the birdseed people, had their headquarters there, and it was called Harmon Cove, Hartz Mountain Corporation, Harmon Cove. And so it was all office buildings in there besides Hartz Mountain. And Mike knew that the way he looked and his bubbling personality, he was not going to get to see the CEO of anybody in those office buildings. But he could always get to see the receptionist. So he was the first one I ever knew who made ice cream cakes. Everybody made ice cream cakes, but Mike made ice cream cakes and brought plates and forks, and he dropped off an ice cream cake with every receptionist on every floor of everybody in those office buildings, and his business cards, and said, anytime you have a corporate party or just somebody has a birthday, call Mike Flaherty and we'll deliver you the ice cream cake that you want. And so he got all the business. He's thrived off of just doing Harmon Cove. And I've had customers since, of course, do that. It just takes the gumption to just say, I'm going to walk in, and I'm not afraid to talk to the first person I meet, but he left them a cake, and that sold it. That's the way I do restaurants. I say, go in with 3 different types of flavors. Do not give it to the pastry chef because you're a threat to the pastry chef if you're stealing business from them. Make sure you get it to the executive chef. Just say, here's 3 pints. Here's my list of flavors. I'll stop back in a couple of days with a couple of more pints, and maybe we can talk about supplying you with ice cream for your restaurant. You let the ice cream do the talking.
Okay, so we are going to do chocolate toasted marshmallow ice cream. Now, who would like to be a volunteer for this dairy mix?
I think Drew wants to volunteer.
You ready, Drew?
Can't read I'm obviously way too shy.
So we aren't going to do the whole bladder. We're only going to do 3.5 quarts. So you'll have to pour the 3.5 quarts in here, which will then go into the machine. Now, when he goes to pour, that's right, got to choke it. So when you go to pour anything into your containers have gradients on the side. It's easier to keep your gradients facing the opposite way of what you're pouring in, because if you're pouring it this way, then you're going to be pouring and trying to do this, versus it's on this side, so as he pours, he can watch his level go up.
You stole that from Jeff. I heard you say that on 40
Yes! All of them. Okay.
How many?
3.5. Just get close to what you can.
Great technique.
Yeah, like a pro.
Anytime you don't spill, it's great technique.
3 and
Doesn't have to be exact, just close is good. And then put the, yep,
unchoke.
yep, put the cap back on. Other way, there you go.
Where do you
And
want
then,
that?
just leave it there. And then you could pour her into the machine.
Oh, no.
But what are you supposed to, you see anything odd? There we go.
Steve tried to get me also on that one. We got best.
Accident waiting to happen.
Very good. Well, he needs applause too, you know.
Waste not one. How's that, Steve?
I hope you noticed the boss did it even better. He got up higher.
Thank you. You did great. All right. You can wash your hands if you want. So we're going to measure out our ice cream, and we're going to do it by weight instead of volume. Let me get that out. How many ounces does it say? 6. You know what? I actually just made an error. I should have mixed the cocoa powder first. So I'm not going to pull it out. I'm just going to pull some out and kind of stir it up. So this is a Forbes chocolate. And Forbes makes several different sweetened powders. This is number 287. In your booklet, there's also the Forbes data sheet in there, and then the contact of who to get. The popular ones are number 287 and 289. I prefer 287 because it's a sweetened vanilla, and it's on the lighter side. The 289 is a darker type of chocolate. It's still just as great, and it's just more of a rich, darker flavor. But an all-around chocolate, 287 is my favorite. Okay. So that's that. We're going to dump her in here.
Forbes is over 100 years old, and all they do is chocolate. And that's a great reason to buy from them, is because they're specialists in that.
That's got some good bits in there, guys. And you don't have to fully dissolve any of it. The machine will do it. Just get it in there. Okay. Now we need to do 16 to 20 ounces of toasted marshmallow. I haven't used this, so I'm excited. So this is that other brand, Tyrannies, that makes 100 bajillion different flavors. This is definitely a go-to, Tyrannies and Monins. Oh, that smells good. Okay, so we're gonna make ice cream, homemade. So we're putting in 3.5. We're gonna get 6.5, 7 quarts back out because we're running it homemade, which is 100% overrun. So we're gonna start. What did I put on there? This is 25 ounces.
Now that's almost pure sugar, so the freezing time will be longer. The higher the sugar content of the product, the longer the freezing time.
Let's give her a little tasty taste.
Good? Not there?
Printing 50,000 cups of each size.
I wish I had that much business.
No, but that's what they make you do. There's all these minimums to print, get your branding on, your cup sizes. Is that in that?
Do you really need 3 sizes?
Actually, I don't think so.
Okay, so here we go. We're just gonna add the mini chocolate chips in. Once again, you can't do this with any other batch freezer. It's just not gonna happen. And I think we need some vanilla in there. We'll just add a splash. Steve hates it when Jeff does it, so I'm gonna do it just because he's not here. I don't measure. That's good enough.
Well, your splash is delicate. Jeff's splash is a little heavy-handed.
Jeff's splash is a glug glug.
Yeah.
Glug, glug, glug,
Big
glug.
difference.
So I'll let this go around so that way you guys can give this a good smell. This is also going to be a great flavor. And you know what? You guys can reinvent the same flavor, but 4 different ways. And even name it different things, but keep it the same product, just depending on the season. You can call this, add some graham crackers to the same exact thing and call it a s'mores. You could do the same one and then add some pecans to it and call it chocolate pecan chip or something like that. So you can take the same basic formula that you have here and add a different ingredient and name it something completely different. So that's the beauty of working with ice creams and flavors. Another thing is people always ask, well, how do you come up with flavors? What do you do? How do you make your boozy ices? Well, my husband and I, we travel, we go places, we sit at a restaurant, I look at their alcohol menu and I read, like they call it some weird name, and I'm reading what the ingredients are and my brain starts doing like a bunch of math in the head, like how could I make that into Italian ice? Same thing, a family recipe that's your mom's best dessert, like a lemon strawberry poppy seed cake, make that into an ice cream. So you take whatever that dessert is that's your favorite, dissect it, buy the ingredients, and instead of using the flour as a cake mix, your dairy mix is your base. So you put in your poppy seeds, you put in lemons, you put in your strawberries. You can even bake a plain vanilla cake and shove that in there if you like. Have I used marshmallow cream? Like the fluff? Yeah, so she asked if I've used marshmallow cream. I have used fluff before. It's very sticky, it's very complicated to work with. I suggest warming it up in the microwave if you can, so you can pour it into the machine a lot better, or you can scoop it, plop it in there and get you a hand mixer or an emulsion blender and mix it first. It gives a great marshmallow flavor. I've also made a variegate with it. 2 out of 10 recommend. I don't recommend using fluff to make a variegate. It's super pretty, it tastes amazing, but I'd rather go, like Steve said, drink sewer water than try to even attempt that again. It was not fun, it was a hot mess. Making a variegate is a swirl that you see. Yeah, so it's hard to make, but it's easy. My fingers are really sticky, sorry.
I want to question your question about the 1 scoop, 2 scoop, 3 scoop. I don't think I would do it anymore. And you called it small, medium, and large? Is that what you're calling it, or are you calling it 1, 2, 3? Okay, first off, if you're going to do small, medium, and large, anybody buying a large is back to the same problem with the half pints versus a pint. You look gluttonous by buying a large. So I would call it 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 3 scoops. Now I would drop the 3rd scoop because ice cream, as everything else in the economy, has gotten outrageously expensive. When I'm doing ice cream right now, the average price I'm promoting is $5 a scoop. And that scoop consists of, instead of 4 ounces, which is a 1/4 pound, which McDonald's made famous, I'm giving them 6 ounces. So I'm giving them 6 ounces in a cup. If I charge $5 with the tax, then the father of 4, the husband, wife, and 2 kids can come in, and dad plunks down a $20 bill, and he's got ice cream for the whole family. He's got fun. He's got entertainment. We came out to you for all of that we couldn't do during COVID. I had this conversation with a customer the other day. He was $5, but it was plus tax. So now it's $5 and say 14 cents. So I'm the father. I've got the 2 kids and the husband and the wife, and now each child is costing, or each person's costing $5.14. I'm putting down a 20 and a 10. Yes, I'm getting change back from the 10. I'm probably getting about $8 back. But what's going through my mind? It costs me $30 to go out and buy ice cream for the kids. And how long do I have to work at Emery Thompson on the factory floor to get 30 bucks? That place is too expensive. The $20, including the tax, so it's like $4.82 plus tax. And then, $4.82, little writing, tax, and then $5. The little writing is to keep the tax department happy. They can see you're collecting tax. But it's $5, $5, $5, $5, $5. I put down a 20, I got a happy family. I don't know what I'm going to do when it goes to $6, because now I really am breaking into it's going to be $30. But your brain just doesn't say it was $20.97. The brain says I put down a 20 and a 10, or maybe a 20 and a 5, but who carries a 5 anymore? Who carries cash anymore? Yeah, but then they're still looking at it. They're still looking at it at the end of the credit card month, and it says $23 for ice cream as opposed to 20. I go, well, I fed the family for 20. McDonald's, I don't know this, but I'll bet they're having that problem right now, and all the other fast food people, because it's so expensive. So if you're going to spend 50,000 cups, try drop the 3rd one for now, because it's going to cost too much. It's going to be $5, $10. What's it going to be? $13 for 3 scoops? That's not going to sit well in the brain. I'll take 1 scoop and 2 scoops, and I'll bet you'll outsell the 1 scoop. And if I really want to be family friendly, I'll offer 2 spoons on both of them, so that they could share it. A lot of people don't like that. They say, well, the elderly husband and wife come in and they only spend $5. They're only going to spend $5 anyway. They're still going to share it. They're just going to use 1 spoon. So you got to be careful with pricing, because everything's got so expensive. That great old line from one of the baseball players about a restaurant in San Francisco. That place is so popular nobody goes there anymore, which is a double entendre. You don't want to be so expensive that nobody goes there anymore. That's a risk.
Yeah, unless you're in like Clearwater. I got mad when I was in Clearwater one time. The price said, I forgot what, I'm just going to make up a number because I can't recall. It said like $7 for a scoop of ice cream, or for a single scoop. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm in Clearwater Beach, expected. So I get it, 2 scoops of ice cream, and she asked what did I want it in, a cup or a cone, and I said I'll take that cone. So then I go to check out, and 2 scoops of ice cream was like $27. I said, where did the rest of the money come from? She didn't say a word to me. She just turned around and pointed to the sign, all drive, and it put cones like $4.99. I was like, you know what? You could have probably said that to me before I checked out. Anyways, but no, don't price yourself out of the market, and keep it simple. Just a couple different sizes. Don't offer a bunch, because people are still going to order the kitty cup. Guilty. I'm going to do it. I'm coming to your store and ordering a kitty cup if you have it. We're at 8 minutes. Let's see where we're at. See how it's kind of blah, blah, blah? We don't want that. It's not ready yet. We need to get a little bit more thicker.
So, if I wanted to do more flavors in one tub, what can I do? Do I have to freeze the first half and then go and add the second? Use the
Are you
divider?
in the divider? So she's talking about these. Uh-oh.
I made something called a rainbow maker.
The Great Divide's missing.
The Great Divide. Well, we can show you the rainbow maker.
Do you want me to go get the divider?
Why not?
Okay.
No, you've got less than
I'll be
a minute and a half.
I'll be fast.
This is something I invented.
You
It
found
really
me a
wasn't
Great
hard
Divide.
to invent because they've been doing this in Brooklyn forever, where they
I saw
would,
someone. I just
they
told them
would-
go get it.
They would take cardboard and just slit it and divide it into 2 sections or 3 sections. So we call that the rainbow maker. It's stainless steel, it'll never wear out. And you put it in here, and now you make vanilla ice cream. And you put it in here and put it in the freezer. So maybe you're going to do 4 of these. Fill this section, put it in the freezer, and then you're going to make strawberry ice cream. And you fill this section, put it in the freezer, and then finish off with blueberry ice cream. And when you finish the last one, you pull this out. Now you've got 3 flavors, you harden it, and when you scoop it, you go in a semicircular motion like that, and you catch all 3 flavors, and you've got the American flag, rainbow, Superman, whatever you want to call it. We also made what we called the Great Divide, and I went to trademark it and found out that Bluebell had already owned the trademark on the Great Divide for about 100 years. And it's just a piece of stainless steel that goes in between here, and it just gives you vanilla and chocolate, or strawberry and banana, whatever flavors you want, you can do it.
That sweet tea Italian ice would be great in that divider. You could do sweet tea and lemonade, make like an Arnold Palmer scoop.
So we sell these, and it's a great idea. We have a customer in Colorado that I cannot mention. We got time?
Oh yeah.
A customer in Colorado, good customer, long time. Don't want to upset him. And I sell him one of the first ones of these, and he sends it back a week later. He says it must have been damaged in shipping because it's all bent up, and I want a new one. And so, yeah, it came back. We ship things pretty sturdy. This side was bent that way. This side was bent that way. This side was bent that way. They're all bent the same way. And I looked at it and I studied it. It took me about a week to figure this one out. Divider, make 3 different flavors. He stuck it in the machine with the dasher, thinking it was going to divide the batch into 3 flavors. And I won't mention his name.
It's right there. It's under there.
Is it here? Where?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's here. Isn't that great?
Use that for your boat.
Yeah, really, a nice prop. There's no way UPS did that to it. And the box was not damaged.
All right, I think we're ready. So we're gonna do a cutoff check. Get a clean cut, plop down, we're good.
And that nice texture, it's easy to see when it's done. It just cuts off nicely.
Most of the distributors have chocolate-based, like vanilla-based.
If they do, I don't buy it. Jeff and I argue about this all the time. A dairy is a dairy. They're used to cows, they're used to milk, they know how to handle that. What do they know about chocolate? They don't. Oh, thanks. They don't know anything about chocolate. So they're going to buy the cheapest chocolate they can find and throw it into their chocolate milk. I mean, I want Barry Callebaut. I want Forbes. I want Bensdorf. I want Ghirardelli. I want good chocolate in my ice cream, not something that the dairy throws in. So I'm just going to run a white mix and put in the Forbes chocolate. And I've got great chocolate ice cream. That's the Great Divide. Pretty simple. And then we also make it for gelato. For Spumoni.
The flavor.
No, I always want to use a high quality chocolate. I don't let the dairy do what the dairy does.
That's what you recommend to your customers, is not even buy the chocolate base.
Never. No, it's never going to be good.
That one's got a lot of chocolate.
I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to cheat you. They just don't know anything about chocolate.
You're adding a liquid?
No, Powders.
Oh, that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was asleep for a second.
This is our last flavor, and then we're going to give you a tour of the factory. You have to hit the road.
Why is gelato usually in those kind of containers?
Because they're making small batches of it, and they want fresh every day, which is what's the problem with gelaterias. There's two problems with gelaterias in America. Number one, they're flavors that kids don't want. You know, they can't even pronounce them. Fruta Tabasco, tiramisu. You know, they want Superman. And so it's still the kids who go to the ice cream parlor. And the other problem is it's gelato. They're trying to make it fresh every day. So when I was over in Florence, I went out at 10 in the morning to a gelateria to get my tiramisu, and they said, "I'm sorry, we ran out." And they think nothing of it because we have ice cream parlors maybe 10 miles apart. They have gelaterias a block away. So just because this guy ran out, I know I can walk down and get gelato over there. So there's no brand loyalty whatsoever. And it's only gelato. We're selling American ice cream of all different flavors. We've got some dairy-free. We've got some Italian ice. We have more variety than they do. And as far as the way they're serving it, it's very nice. I like it for restaurants because I can stack them. Let me just grab this. Oh, I'll never get these apart. But if you've got a round tub, this round tub, as rents go up and costs go up, the store owner is saying, "Sorry, chef, we're going to shrink your kitchen because we need more. The money's made at the seats, the tables. So we need more tables. We need 10 more tables, so we're shrinking your kitchen." So Haagen-Dazs, my customer, delivers them ice cream once every 2 weeks, 10 tubs. And the chef says, "Where am I going to put 10 tubs? I only got this freezer for all my meats and fish and ice cream. And this takes up so much room." And they only deliver once every 2 weeks. You come in and you say, "Well, we can deliver every third day, and the minimum order is only 3 tubs." So these, in the space that this takes up in a freezer, I can go 1, 2, and I can go this way, 3, 4, 5, 6, or something close to it. So I can get anywhere between 4 and 6 flavors for every one of these. So the chef loves it. He's got more variety and less space. So I like these. These are nice. And they make great Christmas presents. And this is, you always see them in the store with the stainless steel. They're in the stainless steel. This is a liner for the stainless steel. This is meant to be thrown away. No restaurant is going to store these for you. You can beg all day long, but they're afraid they'll attract bugs and then they'll get shut down by the health department. So they're going to throw your $2 tubs away. This is inexpensive. They can afford to throw it away.
This is good. I can use that.
No, just a bite. I'll grab a spoon.
Thoughts on this one? Nothing's going to beat the bourbon pecan. That's a good one.
I like the Shirley Temple. I would add more chocolate.
No.
No?
I like the chocolate.
Palate's off, Steve. Don't listen to it.
That's all right. Well, guy who lives on hot dogs, what do you expect?
That's good.
Let me tell Kendall to get the certificates.
Yes.
I guess every pay passed, right?
Yep, I think everybody passed. I am ice creamed out. How many of you are doing Italian ice stores? Oh, quite a few. And the rest of you guys doing ice cream or both? Yeah.
I like to do both, but like the freezer is the only thing, the dipping cabinet, like having to be different temperatures.
I hear you. I understand. Well,
You could keep your Italian ice in like something like this and not keep it on display.
yeah, you could just have a sign up saying you have Italian ice and have a chest freezer in the back and just scoop it upon request.
I love the spoon, but that was pretty cool.
Steve, what about a walk-in freezer?
At some point in time, that'll be great for you, but they're going to be $18,000, somewhere around there. But someday it's going to be great if you're doing a big, big business because you'll have all the ice cream you could ever want. The only thing that's going to hold you up is not going to be the Emery Thompson machine. You can run it 24 hours a day. But once you fill up your freezers, you can't make any more ice cream. So somewhere, 5 years from now, the walk-in's going to be great. Right now, it's going to cost a lot of money for you to run.
So I would still have to put it in a hardened cabinet before it goes in the
Forgot
walk-in?
about these.
Yes. Yeah. Go get up to 2 of these chest freezers first because you can always use them. If I was really doing a big volume and I am loading this up every other day, I can unload this into the chest freezer, which is at 10 below. Still not going to deteriorate. So by buying this, I'm doubling or tripling my inventory. So it's going to be a long way before you'll need the walk-in. And they're expensive to maintain.
Well, Kendall's going to pass out your certificates.
You all passed. Congratulations. Great job.
Yay, we're done.